Hello, this story is concerning wildlife. It's concerning a rhino.
A rhino? Blimey.
Right? Yeah,
okay.
rhino. I used to live in Kenya when I was about 5 or 6 years old.
Okay.
And we were in this wildlife park in a grey Morris Minor. This rhino started chasing us. There's me and my sister in the back seat.
Right.
It was like something out of Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
We were turning around saying, "Believe it, Dad. Just put your foot down, Dad. We're in a field. Put your foot down." This rhino was chasing us.
One from Mark here in Derby. Went on holiday for our first romantic holiday to Tunisia years ago. Decided to take my girl into a petting zoo. I got a bag of food to feed the animals. A giant goat then went for me, putting its front legs over my shoulders and proceeding to headbutt me over a fence into one of the pens, covering me in the food and making my nose bleed. I got out of the pen, then the goat and all his mates attacked me again, sending me running and screaming like a girl out of the zoo, with my girlfriend rolling with laughter on the floor.
A tarantula climbed up the bottom of the bed on the sheet.
Yeah.
And it walked all the way up. It's eyeball to eyeball.
Wow.
And I thought to myself, what am I going to do when it climbs over my face? But then a miracle happened. It raised its two front legs and waved them around. And then it turned around and walked down the side of the sheet.
Boris Johnson been attacked by an ostrich. The former PM was enjoying a safari trip with his family when the bird leaned into his car and went oi oi and pecked his hand. In footage shared online, he quickly jerked from the ostrich. Don't dirty minds away from the ostrich, and shouted, "Oh, cripes, get hell," before driving off. And so I just set it out there. Have you been attacked by an animal? When I was about 7, says Trevor Jenkins.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Good evening and welcome on this sad day to the Political Asylum right here on Talk. I'm your host, Kevin O'Sullivan, and I'll be with you for 3 hours of news, views and topical debate, all the way to 10 o'clock. Get involved, get it off your chest and call me on 0344 499 1000 or WhatsApp voice note me on the same number, and I promise to play your message out. It is Monday, August the 4th. Here's what's coming up. Well, Britain, of course, has today lost a broadcasting legend, and everyone at Talk lost a great friend. R.I.P. the unique Mr. James Whale, an extraordinary man who lived an extraordinary life and forged a remarkable career that spanned 6 turbulent decades. Obviously, our thoughts are with James, his lovely wife Nadine, and his heartbroken family. We'll play a full tribute to the great man later in the show. We'll be joined by, he had a lot of unlikely friends, old James, and one of them was Matt Goss of Bros. They're great friends. So Matt will be in the studio from 7:30 paying tribute to his great friend James Whale. It's funny though, and then later on Ash, my good friend, who was of course James's sidekick for many years here at Talk, he'll join us as well with his thoughts on the passing of a man he shared countless hours on the airwaves with. It's funny though, isn't it? The death of a friend puts everything into perspective, but the news keeps on coming, and let's face it, in these dark days of Starmer's rotten regime, most of it is bad. Incredibly, shockingly, our lousy leader has yet to say a word about them, but the asylum seeker hotel protests continue apace, and it's clear that the angry crowds feel that the government is not listening to them. Instead, the police stand and watch while busloads of far-left thugs are reportedly brought in what appear to be coordinated attempts to apparently turn peaceful demonstrations into violent disturbances. Labour rejects Jeremy Corbyn and Diane Abbott backed the left-wing interlopers who went on to turn up and turn the atmosphere nasty. The police handing notices to some of the mob at the Britannia Hotel in Canary Wharf, banning them from returning to the scene for 28 days. But the cops insist they have not banned protests altogether. We're trying to work out exactly what's going on at these demos, because somehow, someone, somewhere seems to want the kind of violent rioting we saw last summer to erupt all over again. What do you think? 0344 499 1000. In other news, disturbing signs that the police and authorities tried to keep secret the fact that two men involved in the rape of a 12-year-old girl in Nuneaton were Afghan asylum seekers living in a local multiple occupation house. Warwickshire police admit they failed to reveal the ethnicity of the suspects, but insist that their economy with the truth was in line with national policy. Is that a national policy to keep British citizens in the dark over the rising number of sex crimes, alleged and confirmed, being committed by young male migrants who broke into this country illegally? If so, isn't it about time there was a change of policy as a matter of some urgency? 0344 499 1000. Haven't we got a right to know what these young men we've allowed into the country, young men who we know nothing about, haven't we got a right to know what they're getting up to? As a matter of some urgency, as I said earlier. In other news, Yvette Cooper has brought in another of her ludicrous laws after new legislation making it illegal to pack more than 80 migrants into overcrowded small boats. Incredibly, no convictions so far. The hapless Home Secretary has now outlawed people smugglers placing online ads for cross-channel voyages, which, for plugging a crime, was already illegal. What do you reckon? Just more headline hunting by a government overwhelmed by an escalating migrant crisis it has no idea how to solve? You decide. 0344 499 1000. Also tonight, Britain's best TV critic, The Sun's brilliant Ali Ross, joins me later to discuss Channel 4's horrible porn documentary 1000 Men and Me, the Bonnie Blue story, desperate telly bosses trawling the gutter in search of lowest common denominator ratings, only to find that advertisers have more of a moral backbone than them, companies pulling their commercials and demanding that their products are nowhere near a sordid programme about a dead-eyed woman who has sex with lots of guys for money. Is that what Channel 4 thinks is family viewing? 0344 499 1000. Plus the latest on Keir Starmer's pledge to recognise the state of Palestine and Hamas hailing Britain's initiative as, and I quote, one of the fruits of October the 7th. And finally, royal guru Kinsey Schofield on this very special occasion. It's Meghan's 44th birthday. Naturally, her ladyship is all over Instagram sending herself the very best of heartfelt wishes. No other heartfelt birthday wishes for Meghan, but at least she's sending herself happy birthday wishes. All that and so much more, so don't go anywhere. Stick with me right here, right now on Talk, the home of free speech and common sense. Let's spend Monday night together. In just a little while, we'll be joined by our international editor, Isabel Oakeshott. But before we do, we're going to keep returning to this throughout the programme. This is Mike Graham's tribute report to the late, great James Whale.
Broadcaster James Whale, MBE, has died, aged 74. James began his remarkable career in the early 1970s when he pioneered a new kind of radio in Britain, the late-night shock jock phone-in. By the late 1980s, the James Whale radio show had become a cultural phenomenon, broadcasting every weekend on ITV. He attracted millions of viewers, making him a household name.
Ladies and gentlemen, please enjoy the Saw Doctors!
James would go on to host a variety of programmes for ITV, Sky and the BBC, before finding a new audience with talk radio, all the while continuing to make headlines during his appearance on Celebrity Big Brother. In 2006, after surviving kidney cancer, James launched Kidney Cancer UK, raising hundreds of thousands of pounds.
The problems with all cancers is nobody bothers to get checked. And if you get checked early, then you will actually have a much better outcome. But people don't do that.
In 2024, James was awarded an MBE in the New Year Honours, recognising his extraordinary contribution to broadcast and charity.
If I have a few more months, that will be great. If I have until next Christmas or this coming Christmas, will be nice, wouldn't it? But if I die tomorrow, I've had an amazing time and I married an amazing lady.
James Whale broke the rules, he shaped the airwaves and did it all on his own terms. For millions, James wasn't just a broadcaster. He was a companion, a provocateur and a good friend that we'll all never forget. God bless you, James. We'll miss you.
Nice one, Mike. That's Mike Graham, of course. What a remarkable life. Well, let's go straight over to our international editor, Isabel Oakeshott. Isabel, lots for us to talk about tonight, but a few words from you on the passing of our dear friend, Mr. Whale.
Well, what I thought was remarkable and a huge gift amid the tragedy was that he maintained his faculties right up until the end. You know, he was still broadcasting with as much skill right up until, you know, a couple of weeks ago. You may tell me even more recently. You know, he was interviewing Nigel Farage very, very recently. It had long been, I think, planned that it would be the last big interview that he did. And that is an amazing gift. You know, he had cancer for a very, very long time. He survived so much longer, you know, the pure strength of that, and supported by his lovely wife. And I think that must be a great comfort for his family, that he was able to carry on doing what he loved and what he was so brilliant at right up until the last.
You're so right. After he did the interview with Nigel Farage, that was, I think they filmed that a couple of weeks ago. And his producer, Chuck, who's a good friend of mine and produces my TV show, he went down there to do it and Farage turned up. Good of Nigel Farage to do that, by the way. They were great friends, old friends. Nigel Farage was a good friend of Ash as well, James's sidekick. Because in the old days, Ash and Nigel would go outside the studio to smoke cigarettes. So anyway, so Whale does this interview. This is the final interview, his final bit of broadcasting. And at the end of it, Chuck said to me, Whale turned to him and said, "I thought that went really well. Let's do another one. Let's get someone else." so he would have kept that microphone going right to the end, and indeed did. I saw him a few weeks back on a Friday night, and he was coming in. He couldn't do full shows, but he would do by Zoom. Sometimes he would come in, and he came in on his sort of electric wheelchair thing. And I said to him, "Christ, James, you know, when are you going to give it up? Go home, enjoy yourself." He said, "This is what I live for." Yeah, completely. And I think people who are passionate about what they do, they don't ever want to give it up. You know, the idea of retiring, even if you're fully healthy and able to go gallivanting around the world or whatever. I mean, if you love what you do, you don't ever imagine actually doing anything else. And I think that was remarkable. He just kept going, didn't he? And I mean, I remember hearing when I first joined Talk several years ago, that James Whale was effectively on his last legs. And he wasn't. I mean, just I know. I mean, he was given like potentially weeks, and it was something like 5 or 6 years ago.
Yeah.
I was just looking at Ash with green paint all over his face. That show of theirs was something else. He was given potentially just a few weeks. This was about 6 years ago.
Yeah.
5 years later, he's still putting in a full week's work.
Yes.
So he didn't go easily. You know, he fought to the very end. And Julie Hartley-Brewer made a very good point, though. In this last podcast he did with his lovely wife Nadine, you know, he'd lost his voice. He was just, all he could do was whisper. Yeah. And, you know, I'm not trying to say, oh, well, at that point he might as well cash in his chips. But James Whale, without his voice, was not James Whale. You needed that voice. I mean, that was his gift from God. And he was a damn fine presenter, damn fine radio host, damn fine celebrity, damn fine man. As we've been saying all day, he loved to act like he was a tough guy, you know, couldn't care less about anything or anybody. But in fact, he was behind that tough exterior that he worked very hard to maintain. He was renowned for being one of the nicest guys. Never, you know, always had enough time for new people, youngsters, always very, very nurturing to them. And just a nice guy. I mean, you know, you know me, I used to have loads of rows with him, but we became good friends in the end through our locking horns all the time. And because of the arguments that we have, that's why I came to like him. And I think sort of grudgingly it was feelings mutual. But a very sad day. Obviously, our thoughts are with James's wife and his family, and we will return to the great man's story a little later in the show. But let's get you very quickly. We're going to have to do this fast now. But I know you took a very close interest in the demonstrations around the country outside asylum seeker hotels this weekend, particularly down in London. There was one in Islington and one in Canary Wharf. Now, it was quite clear, we got lots of footage, that these were actually almost happy occasions. There were a lot of mums, there they are, a lot of mums, a lot of kids, all doing the conga, things like this, a bit of a party atmosphere. And then all of a sudden, buses arrived full of left-wing activists wearing masks, clearly intent, according to observers, on turning the amicable atmosphere nasty. This is what was going on, wasn't it?
I want to know exactly who these masked characters are that turn up in an incredibly organised fashion to disrupt and derail peaceful protests. It's all very convenient, it seems to me, that there are these thugs that turn up just when the politics are getting really, really awkward for the government. I mean, any government that isn't terrified of women and children turning out en masse to protest against something as sensitive as immigration policy is a government with its head in the sand. And I'm afraid actually that is probably what we've got. But, you know, any regime should be extremely afraid of women and children, mothers, grandmothers coming out to take a stand in the peaceful way that they were. You know, women have got many better things to do. Mums have got better things to do. Grannies have got better things to do. I'm not saying the men don't, but it's quite unusual to see heavily dominated female political protests. And yet that's what we had yesterday outside that hotel in Canary Wharf. And all of a sudden, it turned sour. And that was because a bunch of people turned up, masked up, brandishing England flag and England logos in a way that seemed to me purely out of central casting. And I just want to know who these people are. Are they really far-right thugs? Maybe they are. You know, I just think we're right to ask some questions about whether these characters who perform a very great service for this government by allowing the authorities to have the pretext to say, right, we've got to disperse this thing, it's all getting ugly. I think we're right just to be sure that they are who they look as if they are.
Yeah, so there's a suggestion that these people may be actors, who they're acting for, God knows. But of course, also very self-evidently, lots of left-wing, far-left thugs are turning up as well. So you've got the St George Cross flag carriers. I mean, not all the St George Cross flag carriers are far-right people, but there are a few there. You've got a few of them, and then you've got quite a few left-wing thugs as well, many of them wearing masks. This is a recipe for trouble. Now, as you say, these are demos. They have yet actually to really kick off violently, but it does seem as if someone, somewhere, somehow wants one of these demonstrations, at least, maybe all of them, to erupt into the kind of in-your-face violent rioting we saw last summer. It seems as if someone is trying to recapture what happened last year, which is extremely worrying. Well, as I keep saying, what I think is probably irritating Starmer so far is he can't say, oh, they're all far-right thugs, because actually, despite the best efforts of these interlopers, left and right, these demos have stayed peaceful.
By and large, they absolutely have. And the last thing that anyone who really cares about the cause here, and the cause is trying to regain control of our borders and make people feel safe again in their own communities is far more important, far too important to jeopardise by allowing Keir Starmer to characterise it all as some kind of, hard right thing and launch another of his draconian, authoritarian crackdowns. I don't want to see anyone who is peacefully protesting being dragged into a situation where they're on the fringes of something that might land them in jail. There's real jeopardy here. So the last thing any of us want is for this to get provoked into something so much worse and very different to what it is at the moment. But I think this is kind of on a knife edge, this situation. We've got these protests up and down the country. At the moment, they're just about maintaining order. Luckily, people aren't getting hurt. Property is not being damaged. But it's taking a lot of police time, and it is forcing this government to take ever more evasive measures to try to ensure that the migrants they seem so determined to accommodate in luxury hotels can be secreted there without getting in the way of the protesters. I mean, we're now in a situation where migrants are being brought to these hotels in the dead of night in the hope of avoiding ugly scenes. I mean, it's pretty drastic stuff.
And the police are going around handing out orders banning some protesters from returning to the scene for 28 days. They insist they only did that to sections of the crowd that they identified were troublemakers. But a lot of people got the impression that the police were going around, particularly down in Canary Wharf outside the Britannia International Hotel, which is the hotel you're talking about. In the middle of the night, they suddenly snuck in all of the migrants. Until 2 weeks ago, this was a £425 a night businessman's hotel, and businesswomen as well, of course. All of that. But the police saying, no, we're not banning protests. We've just banned some elements of the people present there from returning for 28 days. Even that I find slightly sinister. I mean, I don't think the police are really entitled to go around telling people whether or not they can protest.
Well, I wasn't on the scene, so I didn't witness how many people were being addressed, but I have tweeted footage this afternoon of police officers telling people that they couldn't go back, and it didn't appear to me as if it was directed at individuals. I'm not saying it wasn't, but it didn't look like that. So this was quite open to misinterpretation. Frankly, it was a bit of a shambles on the part of the police, very, very poorly communicated, and they quickly had to backtrack when it was apparent that they had no legal basis to ban large numbers of people who were peacefully protesting on that site. The other thing that we're seeing now, and I think this is very interesting, and I don't know where it goes quite, is a rise in the number of so-called citizen journalists who are reporting on this stuff. We in the mainstream media, we can't be in all places at all times. And some of these people are becoming very good sources of information. They are bravely documenting what the mainstream media can't or don't want to see or won't report, simply by being around migrant hotels and watching what's going on. I mean, we saw footage earlier on, I think it was played on Mike Graham's show this morning, of the police apparently escorting a migrant from the hotel, I'm not sure which hotel it was, basically doing fast food deliveries. So got to a point where the police are actually escorting what looked very much like an illegal worker to get through crowds protesting against exactly that. Pretty topsy-turvy.
Exactly, and outside the Thistle Hotel in the Barbican, which is actually in South Islington, migrants could be seen peering out of the windows, laughing, taking pictures of the riots and basically mocking the British citizens who are a bit worried about their presence. There they are. It's great.
I mean, that's disgraceful in itself.
Yeah.
Anyone who does that and shows that level of crass ingratitude to their host should be deported without further question, in my view.
Yeah, that'll be the day, Isabel, but I'm with you on that one. When we come back, let's talk about some of the other aspects of what's going on right now. We need to talk about this quite clear cover-up of of a rape in Nuneaton in Warwickshire. The police hiding the details of the two people who've been charged who were involved in this rape, hiding the fact that, guess what? They were Afghani asylum seekers living at a nearby home of multiple occupation. So they were asylum seekers, but the police didn't tell us that. The police don't tell us the ethnicity of the suspects. One of them's charged with rape, the other one is charged with strangulation and kidnap and facilitating this rape. They're both from Afghanistan and they're both asylum seekers. The police didn't tell the public that. They say that's in line with national policies. So we have a national policy to keep British citizens in the dark about the ethnicity of men committing rape or being charged with rape. Is that a national policy? Do you approve of that national policy? Because I think it's an absolute scandal. 0344 499 1000. That when we come back. Stay tuned.
With great regret, we bring you the heartbreaking news that our very own James Whale has passed after his terminal cancer battle. He was 74 years old. James Whale began his career way back in 1975 when he pioneered the late-night phone-in. In his time, he hosted numerous shows for ITV, the BBC, finally ending up with us here at Talk Radio in 2016.
But ask ourselves this question, Mike, if we were in a situation now of international hostilities and we had to take prisoners of war, we'd very soon be setting up camps. And, you know, now we've just got to take this seriously and say that all the money being spent on hotels must be rechanneled into secure camps where the community won't feel under any threat. I mean, that is the crucial thing in all of this.
Right.
People are feeling threatened and they think their children are in danger.
Because that's the thing, their children are in danger.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. I'm still with Talk's international editor, Isabel Oakeshott. Isabel, let's talk about what has been going on in Nuneaton in Warwickshire. A very disturbing story. Two men were involved in the shocking rape of a 12-year-old girl. One of them has been charged with rape, and the other has been charged with kidnap, strangulation, and aiding and abetting an assault. Now, this was released, you know, as is the normal process by the police. Two men have been charged with this shocking rape, blah, blah, blah. And what they didn't tell the British people, what they didn't announce, was the fact that these two men who were allegedly involved in this alleged rape are asylum seekers living at a home of multiple occupation nearby. Now, the Warwickshire Police admitted that they kept this secret because they didn't want to inflame community tensions, but they say that not revealing the ethnicity of suspects in rape cases is national policy. Well, that policy needs to be changed then, doesn't it?
Well, I've been saying for several months now that I think it is absolutely the duty of the government to publish crime data, breaking it down by immigration status. I mean, it just seems to me completely extraordinary that this isn't done as a matter of routine. And I know how difficult it is to get this kind of data because I've tried through Freedom of Information requests, and what you get is a kind of jumble of responses from different police forces that do or don't bother recording relevant information. I mean, generally, all that they record is whether somebody who's accused of, whether crimes that have been reported, if I can put it that way, or accused, those accused of crimes are UK or foreign nationals. And I'm afraid just knowing that somebody is a foreign national doesn't tell us enough, really. What we need to know is, when did they come to this country? Are they refugees, given refugee status, or are they asylum seekers, i.e. most likely in an asylum migrant hotel?
Yeah, there's no doubt that all over the country, the authorities and the police are trying to keep quiet the obvious rising tide of sex crimes, either proved, confirmed or charged, alleged, that are happening involving asylum seekers all over the country. There is a concerted bid to keep this from the people because the authorities fear that such knowledge, if we knew about what was going on, if we knew that more and more of these unknown young men who we let into the country with gay abandon are committing sex crimes, if we knew that, it would be incendiary, and there would be, they fear there would be bad disturbances, riots like last year. But the way to deal with this situation in a free democracy is not to keep it secret. That is a powder keg. That is a recipe for catastrophe.
Yeah, and I don't think it's going to be sustained much longer. I think there are moves to publish this data, but unbelievably grudgingly. You know, the government really does not want us to know, and for good reason, because I think when the data finally is grudgingly released, we will discover that it is immensely disproportionate when it comes to crimes committed by asylum seekers and refugees. And that is exactly the narrative that the government is trying to avoid. And what will be interesting is, you know, to what extent will any data be backdated? I mean, have some police forces been quietly collecting this information without having the obligation to do so from the Home Office? Or is it the case that up until when they're ordered to do it, we simply don't have the data, which would be a huge oversight, I think, a very deliberate one. You could hardly call it an oversight. I mean, a huge cover-up. I'm afraid there's no other word for it.
Yeah, on a national basis, it looks to me as if, let me know what you think, folks, by the way, 0344 499 1000, but it looks to me as if the Labour government, to be fair, probably previous governments, the Tories as well, do not want us to know one of the disturbing ramifications of their migration policies. And that is that as we let thousands and thousands of young men that we don't know anything about into the country, these are young men of sexually active age from different cultures with different attitudes to women. It strikes me the government doesn't want to know, us to know, that the side effect of this is that some of them are committing serious sex crimes. They don't want us to know about that. They're trying to put a lid on it, and that is not going to work. Listen, I'm going to have to ask you to go through this really, really quickly, but there's a couple of points I really want to run past you. First of all, what do you make of Yvette Cooper's she's passing these ludicrous laws that we don't really need. A couple of weeks ago, she passed this law saying that anyone who packs more than 80 people onto a small boat would be breaking the law. Well, I suspect you already were breaking the law, and you'll be shocked to hear no one has been arrested or convicted for this offence so far, because who the hell would you arrest? It's performative, if you ask me. Now, her new big initiative is she's going to make it, or she has made it, illegal for people smugglers to place adverts online advertising for voyages across the channel. Now, that is a crime. So obviously that already is illegal. This is just desperado stuff, isn't it? From a government that cannot solve this crisis, but merely goes headline hunting.
Absolutely hopeless, Kevin. As it happens, just by coincidence, I've been doing some research on these online adverts for voyages, and I've actually got quite some dossier of all the techniques that are used to drum up custom to come to England, and the type of terminology that's used and where they advertise. So perhaps we can do a little bit of an expose on that.
That sounds good. Yeah.
I will bring you some of the information that I've been collecting.
OK, let's do that later in the week. In the meantime, a different kind of appearance by you, but thank you very much for rolling with the punches. Good to talk to you, Isabel. As always, that's Isabel Oakeshott Talks International Editor. Next up, I'm really pleased to say, we're in the studio. We're going to be joined by a legend, Matt Goss of Bros. And he was, I think it's fair to say, he was a great friend of James Whale, an unlikely friend. So he's going to come in, pay tribute to our friend James, and tell us how he became one of his best mates. That next, stay tuned.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Well, welcome back. As I said before the break, well, what a pleasure to welcome to the studio Bros legend, singer, Las Vegas legend, and I think it's fair to say unlikely great friend of James Whale, but great friend of James Whale he certainly was. Welcome to Matt Goss.
How are you, my friend?
I'm good, I'm good. It's a sad day. Well, first of all, Matt, explain to us how you became such good friends with James Whale.
Well, I've known James since I started in the business. He was just one of those guys that was so authentic, you know. And I remember being just a young tadpole in the industry, and he just was always so nice to us and always said anything you ever need, and vice versa, anything I needed, anything he needed. We've always been there for each other over the years.
Yeah. Why do you think, though? I mean, you know, you're from different worlds here. As I say, I wouldn't... the idea of you and James being best buddies is kind of unusual. What was it that you think made you two gel as a unit?
Well, I liked he was authentic. He said what he felt. His heart completely rolled him off of when he was not on there.
Yeah,
he's just a very loving guy, like, you know. But he was still very vocal about how he felt about the state of the country, and I think we connected on that and how we feel. Both patriots, both royalists. Just we shared a lot of, you know, common views, and we actually, I was with him a couple of weeks ago. We took him to a pub called Who'd Have Thought It in Grafty Green.
Oh yeah.
And we had a good laugh. I gave him a hard time, and we ribbed each other. I've got a lovely picture of actually him wearing my hat, and he, you know, we had a full roast dinner, had a full appetite, which is good.
Yeah, yeah.
Had a great time with him. He's sadly be missed. Very, very good guy.
I think we've got some. I think that's a picture of you the last time you saw her. I think this is him and probably on that day in the pub. Is that right? Am I right?
Yeah, that's
There you go. That's Matt and James together.
He was in a bad way, but he said he wasn't going to come, and then we said, "Come on." There's a few of my mates, Keith Bishop and Ray Santilli. And my girl Chantal, we took him out, and with Nadine, and we had such a laugh.
Yeah.
So that's, and I'm glad that we got to see him before he left us.
Yeah. So how long did you know him then? You must be quite a long time now.
How long have I known James?
Yeah.
35 years.
35 years.
Yeah.
We're getting old, aren't we?
Yeah, we are. Yeah, we are.
Remember those days I used to report on Bros, didn't I? Years and years ago.
Yes, you did.
Different age.
But we're still here, which is good, you know.
And was he a fan of Bros?
Yeah, very much.
Did he? Did you like the music?
Yeah, very much. But he also loved the Vegas stuff I did in Vegas. Great friends with my brother Luke as well. They were very close for a while. But yeah, just one of my mates. You know, truly one of my mates. He was a broadcaster. If you ever need anything, I was always here. And that's why I didn't want to do a Zoom today. You know.
Yeah.
I want to be here and talk about James because he's a legend.
Yeah, so Matt's actually come in. You've made the effort to come in because it's a special day. And what will you remember most about him?
As I say, he was authentic. He believed passionately in things and was not afraid to say it on air. He was a disruptor, but at the same time, he had that kind bone, which I think you need both. You know, it's good to be a disruptor and bring tough subjects to the forefront, but he also found a symbiotic kind of relationship with his good heart, and he had the guts. I've never met anyone that has big balls on him.
Yes, he did.
On air, he'd say anything, and as you quite know yourself, you know, that story you told me was really funny.
Well, we used to argue every night, James and I, and then it became, I think the word's performative, when he decided that, I was just telling Peter Cardwell, if you were listening earlier, folks, that when I was doing this show, 7 to 10, some years ago, and James used to come on at 10 o'clock, so I used to finish my show, and invariably I'd be talking to some caller, some member of the public, right. And James would come on and they'd sort of still be on there, that person you're talking to is ridiculously stupid, you know, and I go, hang on a second, it's one of our audience.
It may well have been stupid.
He was probably right. Yeah. But, you know, that was a typical James Whale moment, breaking the rules. He broke the rules left, right and centre. Boundaries, he tried to observe them, but inevitably often didn't. I mean, he lived dangerously. That's what was his brilliance, I think, as a broadcaster.
Also, his brilliance was knowing how far to go. You know, he never went too far, and that's why he's on the air for so many years. He's a brilliant broadcaster.
Yeah, and a good friend. I was saying earlier, Matt, that he loved the image of being the toughest guy on the airwaves. Yeah. And what he didn't really want anyone to know is that off the airwaves, it wasn't really all that tough. He was actually a really, really nice guy. Loads and loads of kids who work here can't say enough about enough good about him. You know, he would find young people and help them and say, you know, and he was like that. He was a really good guy.
I feel like it's one of those guys that still hasn't really sunk in that James isn't here.
Yeah, I know.
Do you know
it's
what I mean? Like
funny,
we're talking about him because we expected him to call us up and give us hell for talking about him. But yeah, he's going to be sadly missed, and a lot of my crew loved him as well. Yeah.
He used to tell me that my show was terrible, absolutely terrible.
It meant it was probably wanted your show.
And he was absolutely right. No, he probably was right actually, but those are my early days. I'm even worse now, by the way. But he rang me one night and said, you know what I tell about your show being terrible? He said, I've got to tell you, it's vaguely listenable these days. It's not too bad, you know.
Which is a huge compliment.
Yeah, it was a huge compliment. And I came to realise what a brilliant broadcaster he was. You know, so, you know, folks, when you see me at the beginning of the show, I've written my monologue. You know, so, you know, I'm not that eloquent. You know, so I just read it out, auto cue and all that. He would go on air. I mean, he wasn't famous for what we call preparation. No. He would go on air and do 10 minutes, hasn't written anything, and it would be word perfect. This was like his world. This is where he came to life, I think.
But he was a trailblazer. He was the first real kind of shock jock, and he just, as I say, he managed to stay in broadcasting, and you know, it's one of the toughest industries out there. I mean, mine's pretty bad as well, but it's you've got to know your stuff if you can stay in this industry for that long. And I think people loved him. Every time I get into a black cab and today, they're gonna, you know, they're all saying they all gutted he's gone, and just like loved him, and he just connected with everyone, myself included.
Well, he invented late night shock jockery, and he also kind of invented that entire genre, which, as you suggest, became very, very popular with taxi drivers. And to this day, even people like me, you know, it's a bit like being you when I'm in a taxi. You know, it's like being very famous. Taxi drivers love this kind of radio, love this kind of broadcasting, and there was no one they loved more than the master, the originator of it all. And that was James Whale. He literally invented the late night phone-in. So quite an achievement. Listen, we're going to go to break now, and when we come back, Matt and I will share some more memories of the great man. So stick around.
It's a bit of a shock, isn't it? I mean, we're all expecting it, and it's a tough one, man.
How long did you work with him, Ash?
30 years, yeah.
So you
Since
probably knew him.
95.
You knew him in broadcast terms probably longer than most.
Well, yeah, definitely, yeah, and it was a great ride. I mean, I remember when I first got to work with him, they said we want you to do work with James Whale, and obviously, because when I was 18, I used to watch the show on the TV, and I thought, great, this would be exciting, and it turned out it was exciting.
With great regret, we bring you the heartbreaking news that our very own James Whale has passed after his terminal cancer battle. He was 74 years old. James Whale began his career way back in 1975 when he pioneered the late-night phone-in. In his time, he hosted numerous shows for ITV, the BBC, finally ending up with us here at Talk Radio in 2016.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. I'm still with Bros legend, Las Vegas legend. Just told me he's making a new movie, starting a travel company. You name it, he does it. A real privilege to have in the studio Matt Goss, one half of the Goss brothers, one half of Bros. He's come a long way since then. James credited you and Luke with helping him through his battle with cancer. I mean, for a lot of us, I tell you, I could sort of say that cliche, oh, it was so hard to see the guy decline, it was so hard to see him wage that battle. But do you know what? The only time he ever talked about it was when he was on air. Yeah. And that's because I think he thought it helped people. Yeah. And I think he also thought it was pretty good content, you know what I mean? It was good stuff to listen to and to watch. But off screen, out of the studio, he never talked about it. He just wasn't bothered. His producer Chuck, who you know, told me, he just said James Whale's the bravest man I ever met, and he suffered his cancer with great courage, didn't he?
Yeah, I mean, the fact that he would come on and normalise his experience, and that's hard to do, you know, when you're going through your own turmoil and you've got, you know, Nadine to think of and the people around him that love him to think of. He did try to normalise it and make it something that was more, you know, the subject more approachable. I lost my mum, so that word it sends certain feelings into me, and it's a tough one. But he didn't normalise it and just make it a subject that people could feel much more comfortable around him talking about it. But as you say, when he wasn't on the radio, he just wanted to know what was going on, and you just felt like James was going to just keep going and going and going and going.
Yeah.
That's why it's a bit of a shock this morning. It was.
It is. It's surprising. We've all been expecting it, but when it happened, it's a shock. I think it's always the way. We're waiting to talk to. We will in a second bring in Ricky Freelove, is his old producer. He's going to come on down the line. But just before we get Ricky in, how did you first meet James? Then?
James had a couple of strange versions of it, but I just remember him doing we did some kind of thing for his show. And then after the show, we exchanged numbers, and we literally just became mates. You know, we'd go down. We'd have me and my partner Chantal and Nadine and James would go to get his favourite local Italian. You know, he loved his food. Yeah. He loved the stories. And as you say, James really loved being famous. He's like he loved the whole. He loved the whole thing, and that's what was really good to be around him, because it wasn't something. He wasn't a moany guy, you know. It was fun to be around.
He sort of lived his job, or lived his career. He came alive in the studio. Well, let's bring in his former producer. Now he's the lofty content editor of Talk here at the station. Welcome to Ricky Freelove. Ricky, your thoughts now that the great man has left us?
It's a really sad day, Kevin, and I think all of us here at Talk have been expecting it for such a long time. It's odd that it's now actually happened, and look, it can't really be overstated. What a legend he was. We were working with a legend every single day. He was a pioneer of the genre of speech radio in the UK, and what he's brought to an entire industry is remarkable. And I think he's shaped, obviously, my career and what I'm doing now from listening to him and the work that he's done, but the entire media landscape. He's literally single-handedly brought that, particularly to the UK, and made it what we are today. And we have a radio station and TV station and YouTube channel based around some of the work that he did.
Yeah, and as his producer, I mean, let's call it like it is. He could be quite irritating, couldn't he, to work for? He would suddenly decide 3 minutes before the show, get me the Prime Minister, I need to talk to Starmer, I want him on within 5 minutes, that kind of thing. That was James Whale all over, wasn't it?
All over. He was a very mischievous character to produce, and the relationship between a presenter and producer is very, very intimate. You get to know them extraordinarily well. I produced James when his first wife, Melinda, was going through her cancer journey, and he would call me up every day with updates. So I feel like I've sort of already done this once with James, and it's very, very sad to do it a second time. But as you said, he was such a rascal to produce that I'd spend my entire day obviously booking a running order, thinking I've got a great show. We'd come to the item, and the guest would be there ready to go. And he declared, well, my producer thinks we're going to talk about this now. We're not. I don't want to do it. Oh, right, okay. So, sort of the aftercare, I think we call it now, wasn't quite the same standard at the time, but we'd get into all sorts of awful scenarios where I'd beg and plead people to come on, and James is a different man now. He won't throw you off there. I once had an expert in some field who was the voice on a certain topic. He was out for dinner and he said, look, I'll step out of the restaurant and I'll do 5 minutes with you over the phone. So I was like, thank you so much. That's brilliant. As soon as he comes on air, I think James said he was something like ridiculously stupid and hung up on him. And, you just have to say to this bloke on the phone, like, I'm so sorry, I did not know that was going to happen. But look, he was famous for it and he was really good at it, hanging up on people mid-air or chuck them out the studio. It would happen on almost a weekly basis. And you just have to speak to this person to come out the studio. I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, we all saw it. But look, just before you go, Ricky, I've been stressing that James loved to project the image of being a real tough guy, the tough guy of broadcasting. But away from that image, the truth was he was actually a very nice guy. And that was kind of proved. Matt's here with me. You remember, Matt, when he celebrated his MBE. And that was at the Langer's restaurant in central London. There were about 200 people. It was a who's who of London. And anyone who thought that this was a nasty guy, I mean, how come 200 close friends turned up? It was true, wasn't it? I mean, it was a real proof of his popularity.
Yeah, he was just one of those guys that I think most of us would just do anything for him. And he didn't ask for anything. James didn't ask for anything. Yeah, and I've had a few of those famous producer calls as well. So,
well, the only problem that came with that though, Kev, was he'd suddenly remember one day that he was best friends with somebody. He'd call me. It'd literally be any hour of the day. He'd call to come up with some great idea he wants in the show. And one day he just went, who's the front man for AC/DC? Brian Johnson? It's like, yes, I know him, he's my friend, get him on the show tonight. It's like, right, I've just got to somehow find the lead singer of AC/DC and get him on the show tonight. It's like that sort of calibre. He really was friends with the stars, and they really do turn out for him as well.
Exactly right. A great man will be sorely missed. Ricky, thanks very much for coming on. We'll see you tomorrow. That's Ricky Freelove, James Whale's ex-producer. But yeah, he could be really annoying, James, I'll tell you.
I'm sure as a colleague you know better than we do, but no, I just want to say that also to Nadine, she's said today's happiest years of her life, and and just that is the measure of the man. He adored her, and that was plainly obvious when we spent time with him recently.
And he was very in his final weeks, even the last week, he was very humble, I thought. He was very grateful for being in the hospice, saying, I'm lucky to be here, this is where I want to go.
And before he went, he was trying to get more energy, more money, and more focus on them from the NHS as well. It's the right thing to do, but I'm not surprised he did that.
Yeah, indeed. Well, listen, what would be your abiding memory of James?
I think that he's authentic. He was a master of his craft and governed by his heart.
You're right. But it's that voice, wasn't it? That voice. That was.
You actually don't do a bad impression of him.
It's a God's gift. Ricky was just mentioning that was his favourite put down. That's the most ridiculously stupid thing I've ever heard. Ridiculously stupid. But he wasn't a ridiculously stupid man. He was an amazing broadcaster, amazing man, very nice man. And it's great to have his great friend Matt Goss here in the studio to pay tribute to him. We'll be talking to his great friend Ash a little later. Ash was, of course, his sidekick for many years, so Ash will come on. But before that, we're going to talk to a teacher next who got fired for suggesting that Lucy Connolly shouldn't be in prison. He got fired for that. That next. Stay tuned.
We've just been talking in the office here about how many of us have been attacked at some point or other by some form of flying beast or any wildlife. I mean, so we'll take your stories this morning.
Hello, this story is concerning wildlife. It's concerning a rhino.
A rhino? Blimey.
Right? Yeah,
okay.
rhino. I used to live in Kenya when I was about 5 or 6 years old.
Okay.
And we were in this wildlife park in a grey Morris Minor. This rhino started chasing us. There's me and my sister in the back seat.
Right.
It was like something out of Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
We were turning around saying, "Believe it, Dad. Just put your foot down, Dad. We're in a field. Put your foot down." This rhino was chasing us.
One from Mark here in Derby. Went on holiday for our first romantic holiday to Tunisia years ago. Decided to take my girl into a petting zoo. I got a bag of food to feed the animals. A giant goat then went for me, putting his front legs over my shoulders and proceeding to headbutt me over a fence into one of the pens, covering me in the food and making my nose bleed. I got out of the pen, then the goat and all his mates attacked me again, sending me running and screaming like a girl out of the zoo, with my girlfriend rolling with laughter on the floor.
A tarantula climbed up the bottom of the bed on the sheet.
Yeah.
And it walked all the way up. It's eyeball to eyeball.
Wow.
And I thought to myself, what am I going to do when it climbs over my face? But then a miracle happened. It raised its 2 front legs and waved them around. And then it turned around and walked down the side of the sheet.
Boris Johnson been attacked by an ostrich. The former PM was enjoying a safari trip with his family when the bird leaned into his car and went oi oi and pecked his hand. In footage shared online, he quickly jerked from the ostrich, don't dirty minds, away from the ostrich, and shouted, "Oh, Christ, get hell," before driving off. And so I just set it out there. Have you...
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. In a little while, we'll talk to the Sun's excellent TV critic Ali Ross, get his view on the trouble surrounding Channel 4's documentary about Bonnie Blue, 1,000 Men and Me, the Bonnie Blue story. Bonnie Blue is a woman with dead eyes who sleeps with men for money, and Channel 4 made a documentary about it. And guess what? They thought it would be a really big ratings winner. You know, you can't, the lower you get, the more audience you'll get. Well, not really. And what's happened is that quite a few advertisers have said, we don't want our products anywhere near this programme. So is Channel 4 finding out that just shamelessly chasing the lowest common denominator isn't really good enough in national broadcasting here? We'll talk about that in just a little while. But first, I want to talk about what has developed. It's one of the big stories of the last couple of days. And this is a teacher called Simon Pearson. Now, he put on Facebook a very reasonable assessment of what's happened to Lucy Connolly. She, of course, is the mother, the housewife from Northampton, hundreds of miles away from Southport. She posted on Facebook during the Southport riots, something that wasn't very nice. It was a bit ill-advised. Said something about send them all home, mass deportation. I don't care if that makes me racist. It wasn't the wisest of posts. She took it down after 3 hours, realising she'd gone a bit over the top. She was furious. Little girls had been murdered. She was a mother. She was sympathising with fellow mothers. But she went a bit over the top. Got arrested for this post, and you know the rest of the story. She got 31 months, 2 years and 7 months. 2 years and 7 months for a few hurty, nasty words on Twitter. Simon Pearson on Facebook said what I just said, or wrote what I just said. Look, what she did, you know, was horrible. It was a horrible post. She shouldn't have done it and all that. But she didn't deserve to go to jail. I think a lot of us feel that. You know, I don't want to live in a country where people get sent to jail for little hurty words they write on social media. So Simon basically said that. And for that, he was reported by his union, the National Education Union, a complaint made by a Muslim representative of the union who alleged that what Simon had written was Islamophobic and racially discriminatory. The devastated teacher, of course, insisted he was merely expressing concern about violent crime, which he was. But Preston College, where he worked, found that Mr. Preston's post was in, I'm quoting now, was in violation of its policies, damaging of professional relationships, and likely to bring the college's reputation into dispute. As a result, he was fired outrageously, in my opinion. Well, welcome to the show. We've got the man himself. Welcome to the show, teacher Simon Pearson. Hello, Simon.
Hello, Kevin.
Well, I'm very sorry about what's happened to you, and I feel that it's incredibly unjustified and rather sinister. I've seen what you posted. It was a perfectly reasonable post going through what you thought about the fate of Lucy Connolly. What you thought is what I think. It's what millions of people in this country think, that we don't approve of what she posted. She posted it in the heat of the moment, but surely a few hurty words on Twitter by a housewife, a young mum, 200 miles from Southport, does not warrant a jail sentence, and certainly does not warrant a long jail sentence of 2 years and 7 months. You wrote that, and for that you've lost your job. Your feelings?
Devastated, really, Kevin. I've been at the college for 20 years. I've been serving my students from every conceivable walk of life, asylum seekers, people from other nations coming to settle here, just helping them to live in our society. And they've sort of labelled me as being Islamophobic and complained about the post about two-tier policing, about Lucy Connolly as well. And I just put myself in ordinary people's shoes, and being from Southport myself, I originally, all my family were there, were brought up there.
Mm-hmm.
And basically I just wanted to, I felt compelled to write something when everybody was being seemingly, people online were being arrested and put in prison, like Lucy, and even some people committed suicide because of that. And I felt I needed to say something, person in my position that deals with people from other nations, and basically to be able to express my opinion on the subject in freedom. They were expressed on a private Facebook page. It wasn't in public. I couldn't have brought the college into disrepute because it was all from friends only. And it was actually just two accusers on there, two friends in brackets, that brought the complaint to the union, and then they brought it to the college.
And you talked of this being a clear example of two-tier justice. And again, that is a statement that millions of Brits, including me, would wholeheartedly agree with. Because the fact of the matter is, Lucy Connolly wrote a few hurty words, got 2 years, 7 months, 31 months behind bars, which was considerably more than quite a few of the people who are actually in the riots who were caught throwing bricks at the police or trying to set fire to asylum seeker hotels and mosques. So the fact that she got longer than them is a clear case of a kind of a two-tier justice, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It is. It's an abuse of power, really.
I mean, am I right that so it was your union, the National Education Union, who reported you? Was the complaint, as I've read, from a Muslim representative of the union?
Yes, it was. Actually, the NEU was not my union. It was the two accusers who were on my Facebook friends. But they put pressure on the college, quite considerable pressure, threatened to go to the police if the college didn't take them seriously, sort of thing. And I've just shared what I put in the post. I think people can read them. There's nothing about race, nothing about religion. There's nothing that is just expressing concern for the actions that were taken at that time, which was quite overwhelming for the majority of people in our nation, I think.
And you were an ESOL teacher, English for speakers of other languages. So as you said earlier, you were specifically helping migrants and asylum seekers to adapt to this country so they can speak the language. That was your job.
That's right. And so I love my job. I love teaching. I've been doing it in total for 30 years. And it was basically people are people, and I was trying to help people to adjust to life here. Many people who are in need from war zones and various other places, and it was just quite a shock to the system to have me being accused of Islamophobia, which is I've helped constantly been helping Muslims. Who needed help.
So when Simon, the college authorities, Preston College authorities, the bosses, if you like, launched this investigation, having been alerted by the union, the National Education Union, I mean, I presume your first thought was, oh, well, this is a bit of a silly complaint. I'll just explain what happened and then that'll be all over. But did you realise with a mounting horror that this was extremely serious and was a threat to your career? Is that the sort of chronology? Is that how it went?
Yes, it was. The more I got down the process of the investigation, the more I saw it was more like a witch hunt to get me out of the way. It just was really what it seemed to me. As long as they labelled me as being Islamophobic, which is something I'm patently not, I wouldn't be in my line of work if I was Islamophobic.
I see what you mean. Yeah, exactly.
And that's what stuck, and it's been very difficult for me to get another job. I'm very grateful for the job I have now and things like that, but it's not something that it's not what I've been trained to do. I thank God for this job.
Well, that's one good thing. What are you doing now then, Simon?
Well, I'm learning to drive a bus.
There you go. Well, good.
And it's something completely different, but I have a great teacher, a guy called Brett, and I'm just doing my best.
Well, good for you. good for you, but it'd be nice if you could get a job back in your chosen profession, teaching. Did you, in your exchanges with the college authorities, with the bosses, I mean, you must have said, this is ridiculous, I'm not Islamophobic. What was their response to all of this?
They basically just said that I broke college policies, that I'd offended this member of staff. I don't think I really, I apologise for any offence that I caused, but there was things. There was more to it than really what they were saying, really, and I just felt it like it was a witch hunt, really. And
I know that the Toby Young's Free Speech Union has taken up your case. So I hope you're suing the college, are you, for wrongful dismissal?
Yes, I am. I deserve, after 20 years, to be faithfully serving the college and my students. I don't deserve what has happened to me, and just for 2 private Facebook posts, and that expressing genuine political views and concern. If we don't have freedom of speech, what do we have as a nation? What can we? Why do we have to, on a private Facebook page, be careful of what we say? If somebody is offended, they should.
The trouble is, Simon, you didn't post anything that should be classified as Islamophobic or racist, because it wasn't. This is an absolute disgrace. You also put a Facebook post that appears to have got you in trouble discussing the Manchester airport case. It just seems as if what the college authorities are really telling you is, you shouldn't have gone there, shouldn't have even said anything about these cases.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Well, listen, Simon, let's keep in touch, shall we? And, good luck with the bus driving. I think that's brilliant. Except, no offence to bus driving, but you should be a teacher, shouldn't you?
Well, that's what I was doing for 30 years of my life, and but I'm thankful for a job. Looking on the bright side of things, and I trust God in it all.
Well, I hope he helps you out with this, and we'll follow your case and we'll keep in touch. Well, folks, that was Simon Pearson, sacked for criticising two-tier justice, suggesting that Lucy Connolly didn't deserve to go to jail. He got sacked, and his bosses said that he was racist and Islamophobic. What's racist and Islamophobic about that? Let me know if you got any idea, because I can't see it. 03444991000. This is another case of sinister modern Britain, isn't it? Where if you're not woke, you get sacked. 03444991000. When we come back, we'll talk to Ali Ross about the Bonnie Blue documentary. That next. Stay tuned. He was the nicest guy around. He never stopped to spare anybody time. Newcomers like yourself, he was always there to help. Me and him, we used to have a few rows on air sometimes. So he was a great friend. He was a good guy to young people in the industry, because I think he loved the industry as well. So we have lost a legend.
It's a bit of a shock, isn't it? I mean, we're all expecting it, and it's a tough one, man.
How long did you work with him, Ash?
30 years, yeah.
So you probably knew him. You knew him in broadcast terms probably longer than most.
Well, yeah, definitely, yeah, and it was a great ride. I mean, I remember when I first got to work with him, they said we want you to do work with James Whale, and obviously, because when I was 18, I used to watch the show on the TV, and I thought, great, this would be exciting, and it turned out it was exciting.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. In a little while, we'll talk to Ash Gould, Flash Ash, who was, of course, James Whale's sidekick for many years. So we'll look back on James's remarkable life through the lens of the man who was with him for so many years, Ash. That in just a minute. First, though, let's talk about Bonnie Blue. Bonnie Blue is a sort of a dead-eyed young woman who sleeps with men for money. She sort of says, I'll sleep with 1,000 men, and puts it on OnlyFans or whatever the hell she does. I don't really know. But there was a documentary on Channel 4 towards the end of last week, I think it was. And it was called 1,000 Men and Me. The Bonnie Blue story. Basically, Channel 4 obviously thought that as long as it's, sex, nudity, there were scenes in this show of her bonking 3 men in the bed and, lots of nudity. They must have thought sex sells. This has been a great show. Well, turns out that some of their advertisers, the companies that advertise with Channel 4, have more of a moral backbone than the people who run the channel. And they've just said, we don't want our adverts on this documentary. In fact, we don't want our adverts anywhere near this programme. So several top products have just pulled their commercials in a sort of increasingly a reaction of revulsion against something that maybe shouldn't be on family television. I mean, Channel 4's got a long track record of this, If it's really pushed now and again, it will, under special circumstances, extreme circumstances, make a programme in which the characters have their clothes on. But by and large, the policy is to make sure everyone's nude, everyone's having sex, and everything is as down-market as humanly possible. They think that's the way to make money. That's the way to get big audiences. Well, maybe not. Let's be joined now, shall we, by the best TV critic. Say that again. Britain's best TV critic. He is the Sun's brilliant Ali Ross. Hi, Ali.
Hello, Kevin. I will take TV cricket.
TV cricket. Yeah, you love that up in Scotland, don't you? Let's watch the trailer for this programme.
I forget, how crazy my life's become. When I'm speaking to family or friends, oh, where are you today? I'm like, oh, I'm in London, I'm in Paris, or I'm doing this today. And I think because it's changed so quickly, you sort of forget to look back and think, oh, my gosh, it was only sort of 5 years ago. I would be sat in my office, in the same desk, every day, Monday to Friday. I did finance recruitment for the NHS. What was it like? It was just the same day in, day out, repetitive calls. And I was like, is this what I'm going to do for the rest of my life? People would look at me, think, oh, wow, she must be so happy in life. She's got a house, a fancy job. And I was like, but it's boring. Surely there's more to life than this.
Well, it's brilliant, isn't it, Ali, that she's found a less boring way to spend her life. She can spend her life how she wants, I guess. But Channel 4 sort of lovingly chronicled her existence in this documentary.
Yeah.
No doubt thinking, oh, it's all about sex and we can put footage of bonking in it and nudity, and then we'll get a big audience and we'll make lots of money. Well, it turns out that a fair few companies just said, no, this is sordid pornography and we don't want our products anywhere near this programme. So Channel 4, the Guardian reading lefties who run Channel 4, who patronisingly think sex sells, this is how to make successful programmes for the lower orders, have found out it's a bit more complicated than that.
Yeah, I'm surprised it's taken this long in a way, because if you watch TV as we do, which we have to obsess about these things, you will know there is always an easy sidebar or lead to be had out of Channel 4, because they do this stuff obsessively. Prior to this, there was a show called Open House, The Great Sex Experiment, which was basically just Channel 4 filming people having sex. And that's what it was. It was done on infrared camera and with a suitably chin-stroking commentary. But we all know what's going on here. We've seen Naked Attraction. We've seen Naked Alone Racing to Get Home. We've seen Naked Education. They're obsessed. And someone has finally called them on it. And I think they've gone, oh, no. Yeah. The case against them is inarguable as well. There's no public interest here. If we did this in the tabloids, Channel 4 News would be all over us. That's the irony of the situation.
Yeah.
And they'd be all over us in a holier-than-thou way that would absolutely nauseate people, because they know exactly what this channel is up to. Which goes right back to the early days of Channel 4, 1982, when it was given a remit to do alternative programming, which they took to mean shock. And they've never quite got over this. Whatever changes there've been in the broadcasting legislation, this idea has stuck with them. And finally, it's going to hit them where it hurts, which is advertisers. And once that happens, you are on a rocky road to bankruptcy.
Yeah, they've got Visa, the credit card, Corsten Press, which makes fruit juices, Smirnoff Vodka are among the companies.
It's big name brands.
Yeah, they've all told Channel 4 they don't want their products on TV anywhere near the Bonnie Blue programme. Channel 4's chief content officer, which is the modern way of saying the boss, is a guy called Ian Katz, who extraordinarily used to work at The Guardian. Who'd have thought about that? Yeah, what a shocker that is. Anyway, he hit back and said that Bonnie Blue's money-spinning bedroom romps are, and I quote, clearly a legitimate subject, he says, because she is a huge phenomenon who has transformed the porn industry. I would say, so what? I don't want to... Why would families watching the telly at night want to see someone who has transformed the porn industry, if indeed she has? That's not the correct kind of subject matter for television at 9 o'clock at night, is it?
What you got to remember as well is this is not the essence of public service broadcasting.
Got that right.
Or is state-owned. It may be financed by adverts, but me, you, and everyone else listening to this is nominally a shareholder in this this company, which just makes me regret. One more thing to regret about the previous government is that they had a chance to sell this thing off, and they would have got £1 billion for it, which, in the grand scheme of things, isn't an enormous amount, but it would have helped. But as that Tory government did with everything, they chickened out. This is in 2022. And Channel 4 probably just saw it as, no pun intended, a blue light, green light, I should say, to carry on exactly as it has been doing for the last 10, 15 years or so, which is just empty broadcasting like this, the lowest common denominator. And if you want to guess the thing that triggered all of this, it goes back to Big Brother in 2000, from which point on, I think the soul of Channel 4 if it ever had one, was pretty much destroyed.
Yeah, absolutely. And you sent me some other programs. You mentioned earlier the great. There's Open House, the great sex experiment, as you said. Basically, your chance to watch lots of young people having sex for no particular reason. Racing to Get Home. What was that one?
Naked, Alone and Racing to Get Home. Channel 4 dumped...
Say that again. What?
Naked, Alone and Racing to Get Home. Channel 4 dumps, I think, 6 people naked in the middle of a Scottish moor, and they have to get 20 miles to a set point without any clothes on. It's like orienteering in the buff.
And you mentioned, of course, Embarrassing Bodies, which started when I was still a TV critic, and I remember watching the first episode. And, of course, they always dress it up, don't they, with this sort of pseudo-social importance. And I remember when they started, they said, you know, the norm in romantic relationships is always... man meets woman, woman meets man. Perhaps they have dinner, they have drinks. They begin to form a friendship, and then perhaps that moves on. And at some point it becomes physical, the act of physical love. What if that process was turned around? So basically they put forward you, right, what are these people going to do? They're going to look at each other in the nude, then they're going to have sex, and then they'll think about whether or not they're going to have a relationship. That was the important social experiment. Don't forget, Big Brother was put forward as an important social experiment as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, Naked Attraction is judging people entirely on their physical experience, physical appearance. And as the great A.A. Gill, much missed, said, this is a network that if you suggested broadcasting Miss World to them, they'd have a fit of the righteous vapours.
Yeah.
It's all right for them. 10 series Naked Attraction ran for as well. It's only just been cancelled.
God, has it? I mean, I remember it in all...
Finally cancelled, yeah.
It was an incredibly boring programme, actually. But what was Naked Education? What was that?
That was going into schools and showing people, students, some of whom were underage, what people look like in the nud.
Actually, I do remember this. They went into schools, didn't they? And they sort of showed little kids, nude men who were 65 years old and things like that.
Yeah, it was astonishing.
You see, the thing is, Channel 4, right, I don't know who the sort of overlords of it are, but I know how it could be more successful. I see if you agree. If they got people in... You see, they're going for a kind of populist market. Nothing wrong with that. All hail to that. But you need people who understand the populist market, the popular market. What they've got is people who look upon the popular market in a patronising kind of way and do it at arm's length. They think... This is what, let's get everyone to strip off. Let's get everyone to have sex, because loads of people will watch this. Well, as I said at the beginning of this conversation, Ali, I'm afraid life is a bit more complicated than that. People are more complicated than that. And if Channel 4 was run by people who really understood the popular market, it could be successful. But it's clearly being run by people who have no idea about the popular market or the popular audience whatsoever, right?
Oh, absolutely. And the particular, the Bonnie Blue thing, it's what I call a 2-shower television show, because that's what you need to take to just get over the experience of watching this tawdry exhibitionism, which has got no place at all going out on prime time, let alone on a state-owned channel. Yeah. It should be ashamed of itself for broadcasting. It's something I barely even touched in the column, because it's one of these shows that you just don't want to be associated with in any form at all.
I read what you wrote. You wrote something about you sort of just put it in your random irritations, didn't you? Channel 4 for giving the dead-eyed Bonnie Blue
oxygen of publicity.
The oxygen of publicity. Exactly right. Well, listen, Ali, good to talk to you again. Come on again soon, and we've got to have a drink soon. It's been too long, so we'll do that. Ali Ross, Britain's best TV critic. Read him every Friday in The Sun. I heartily recommend it. It's one of my favourite reads of the week. Next up, well, let me know what you think about Channel 4 basically filming pornography, broadcasting. Guess who I've got on the line here? I don't even know why, but I'm going to take the call because it's Alex Phillips. Hello, Alex.
All right, yeah, I couldn't come on your show, could I? Because I'm in the middle of moving house. But I was like, why don't I just be a caller to your excellent programme?
Okay. Yeah, because I wanted to get you on today. I wanted to get you on today because I wanted you on for half an hour or so. But you're having Wi-Fi problems. We all sympathise with that. Thank you for ringing. Well, first of all, Alex, let me get your thoughts about the passing of our dear friend James Whale.
I know. I don't think it's sunk in yet. When I had the call today, we knew it was coming. He knew it was coming. We've all spoken about it for a long time now. But then when it suddenly, I don't know, when it hit, and I thought, my God, I can't speak to him anymore. That's it. I don't know. I mean, he really invented in the UK talk radio, didn't he? He was the sort of father of it, and he kept my grandma such company during her bereavement and was a huge backer of my career. In many respects, he gave me my big break.
Yeah, that's right. He did, didn't he? Because he found it when you were an MEP. He had you on one night and was suitably impressed because you know what you're doing when you come onto TV and radio shows. I can testify to that myself. And then he loved you, didn't he?
Yeah, no, he didn't. He always said, you should get your own show, you should do this, you should do that. He decided, he took it upon himself to make me his protege, so to speak. But it's just, he's such a big character. I mean, it doesn't feel like he's gone, really. You just expect to hear him again at some point.
Yeah, I know. It's a common syndrome that, you know, we've all known, obviously, for some time that James was on the way out. And, of course, the last few weeks, I mean, every day we've been told, oh, it's imminent, it's imminent. But so we knew, we were mentally prepared, emotionally prepared. But when it happens, it's still a shocker, isn't it?
It is, because we started, I mean, to be fair, I'm sure, like, James wouldn't mind me saying this, we started to take it for granted. It became a bit of a running joke, didn't it? It was like, oh, James has still got cancer. You know, we'd all laugh about it. But he knew the time would come, and he'd say, I'm ready. I'm just totally at peace with it. I'm totally ready. And that to me is such a blessing. You know, if someone can get to the end of their life on earth, have achieved as much as James has, but more than anything, been such a part in so many other people's lives. Yeah. You know, his fingerprint is everywhere in this country. He's looked after so many countless people when they've been lonely. And that's just, you know, that is immeasurable.
Well, listen, Alex, thanks so much for calling in. Just quickly, how's the house moving going?
Do you know what? I'm going to die in that house because I'm never moving again. It's the worst.
I told you, didn't I? I told you, it is a nightmare. Have you lost much?
I don't know yet. I haven't even really started.
You wait. You'll start going, where's those keys? Where's that? When you lose everything and you have no idea where it is.
25 times today.
Yeah.
Nightmare.
So you've got that nightmare to come. Listen, thank you so much for ringing in and best of luck. Good to talk to you, Alex. The great Alex Phillips there, phoning in with her tribute to James Whale. When we come back, another tribute to James, this time from his great friend Ash. That next. Stay tuned.
across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. Another tribute to our great friend James Whale, who has sadly passed away today after an incredible career. Much of it was spent next to our next guest. He is the great Ash Gould. Ash to everybody. Flash Ash, as I call him now. I've got the honour of having him on my TV show now. What just happened? I'm really pleased about that. Welcome, Ash.
All right, Kev, how you doing, man?
I'm all right, mate. How are you feeling today now that...
all right, yeah, it was a bit of... I mean, not a shock, because obviously we expected it, but, I mean, still, well, it's still a bit of a shock, but it's just sad news. It sort of hits you after about 5 minutes.
Yeah. And you must be feeling, Ash, like you lost your right arm or something. I mean, you two were inseparable for a long time.
We had a special chemistry, didn't we? I mean, that's probably why we ended up together so long, because, you know, it was good fun doing it, you know, and if you're having good fun, it's not like work, is it? You want to just carry it on. And so that's basically what we did, apart from a little gap in the middle when he was a naughty boy with the broadcaster's card. It was one of the bosses. One of the bosses tried to get rid of him. It was a fit-up.
Well, you know, he always danced near the edge of danger. That was
He did, yeah.
That was part of his charm. You know,
exactly.
we had Matt Goss on earlier, and he said, well, the thing about James is he tested the boundaries, but he always knew, or he usually knew where to stop. Once or twice he didn't, but that was the nature of the game. What do you think made it work between you two? Because you two sometimes were like an old married couple bickering at each other.
That's it. That's probably it, isn't it? I mean, because we were quite not alike, really, and I think that's what was good. It was, someone said earlier, it was a yin and yang sort of thing. It was, you know, we had our own sort of, as they say, skill sets, but it worked well, didn't it? You know, he was a bit of angry, and I was a bit laid back, and you know, we'd wind each other up. Probably me more winding him up.
Yeah.
And it was good fun. We had loads of, you know, interesting things over 30 years, because we did it 5 days a week from, you know, decades. So obviously loads of things happened, you know, when you're live on air.
How long did you work with him for, Ash?
30 years.
30 years.
Since 1995, yeah. So that's a long time, isn't it, to work with someone? It's like a marriage. You get less for murder these days.
But I've been saying all day, you know, we've all had our moments with old James. He could be really annoying. Let's not beat about the bush. But in the end, he was what he didn't want people to know was the truth. He was a nice guy. He was a decent guy with a heart of gold.
He was quite cuddly, softly, wasn't he? He was quite softly underneath it all. And I think that's probably why he put on that sort of tough, angry exterior, because underneath it covered up, you know, he's quite a warm guy, wasn't he? He was a soft, warm, emotional bloke.
Yeah, and very good to a lot of the kids at Talk. Couldn't do enough.
Yeah, I mean, just anyone an aspiring kid who wrote in and said, "Can I interview you?" It was always yes. You know, some 16-year-old in a podcast or anyone. He'd do everything, and he'd tell them. He'd always say, you know, go to the door of the radio station and find the manager and meet. That's probably not a good thing to do these days, but back then he'd say do that. And he'd really help out. He loved helping out, and often they were successful. You know, a lot of Steve Coogan's first thing was on his show, and Vanessa Feltz and Charlie Chuck, Uncle Peter from Reeves and Mortimer. Loads of people. He had rubbish bands on though on his TV show. They never really made it, but with some of the other people, yeah.
Yeah. What do you think? What do you think was what was his true genius? What made him so good?
Well, like you said earlier, he could just speak off the cuff, and he was instinctual, and I think that was what it is. He could instantly react and say things, and you know, it was like, it wasn't contrived; it was straight from it, and it was very fluid, wasn't he? He would just go. He didn't have to think about anything, and that's probably something to do with he was dyslexic.
Yeah.
Well, he used to say that, but then we used to do these dodgy ads for like up north carpet shops, and he'd give me 20 quid to record them in the Talk studios like 20 years ago. And he'd read the script ultra fast, and I thought, you're not dyslexic.
Really? Yeah, I think he just couldn't
he
be.
Still owes me that 20 quid, actually.
I'll bet he does. I was always impressed by that because he could just sit down and talk for 10 minutes eloquently. Yeah. And
he could do it for hours. I mean, it's amazing. He could just keep going for hours.
What do you miss most of?
None of it made sense, of course, but it sounded good.
Yeah, well, you two. What will you miss most about him, Ash?
Well, just like, I mean, it was just on you. I sort of feel he's still around, but I mean, obviously he's not. I'll miss him. Well, he always had a big entrance, didn't he, when he come in? Maybe the last couple of months not, but he always. You knew when he was coming in, and he filled the room, didn't he? He was like the centre of everything, and that's gone.
And that voice, his
amazing voice. I mean, that's why I think it used to go sometimes when he's ill, because I think he'd used it so much over the years doing loads of episodes. But yeah, his voice is, and of course his loud, vulgar clothes.
Oh yeah,
he had
that's
his own
right.
style. No, they were nice. Some of them were actually quite nice, and most of them were a bit. But no, he was very flamboyant, wasn't he? And you knew he was there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You knew he was in the room, and I missed that and the energy. That obviously, I mean, I think that's what I bounced well off the energy of it.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, actually, we're going to all miss you and James together. I mean, you two became inseparable, and you were an amazing double act, an unusual double act.
It was really just accidental, but it just turned out to be just. I wanted to carry it on, and so did he. So it was brilliant.
I just remember him shouting at you. And all that.
Yeah. He do a lot of that. Yeah. I can hear him now. That's why I still hear me around. I can hear him saying, "Shut up, Ash."
Yeah, shut up, Ash. Will you shut up?
Rubbish. You're talking rubbish.
Exactly, and you not caring, which is which used to really annoy him.
That's probably what the secret was.
Well, listen, Ash, thanks for coming on to pay a tribute to our good mate, Bubba. James Whale. And I'll see you on Thursday for another recording of What Just Happened. That's Ash Gould, Flash Ash Gould, James Whale's sidekick for 30 years. Didn't realise it was that long. I mean, they were a hell of a partnership. I've got lots of calls about James, so if you want to call in, about James or anything else, please do 0344 499 1000. When we come back, we're going to deal with something quite serious, and that is the increasing fallout from Keir Starmer's, in my view, disgraceful pledge to recognise Palestine as a state. Hamas now saying that it is one of the fruits of October the 7th. So that's good, isn't it? The Britain recognising Palestine, as far as Hamas is concerned, is a triumph, one of the fruits of October the 7th. That's what we've got involved in, folks. We'll talk about that next. Stay tuned.
fascinating. I mean, he had a really wide circle of friends as well, you know, from the shows that he did on TV, where there was quite a lot of, you know, very well-known people. And you heard Ash saying he interviewed Spike Milligan. You know, he had an incredible way about him. I remember when we did a tribute to him, you know, a lifetime of nighttime.
I remember that, yeah.
Which
I remember watching it.
assuming we'll be showing again. We recorded it a couple of years ago, and some of the things that I hadn't seen until we did that show, you know, like the incredible scenes of him. He had some woman on.
He was the nicest guy around. He never stopped to spare anybody time. Newcomers like yourself, he was always there to help. Me and him, we used to have a few rows on air sometimes. So he was a great friend. He was a good guy to young people in the industry, because I think he loved the industry as well. So you know, we have lost a legend.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. Let's get straight to it. We need to talk about the continuing fallout from Keir Starmer's pledge to recognise Palestine as a state. That would happen in September, unless Israel agrees to all of his demands, as if Israel gives a damn what his demands are. Let's talk to Jewish journalist Jonathan Sakadosti. Thanks for joining us, Jonathan. Well, first of all, how proud Starmer must be feeling today after Hamas hailed his pledge to recognise Palestine as, and I quote, one of the fruits of October the 7th. I hope that makes Mr. Starmer feel as small as it should.
Correct when they say that the so-called recognition of a Palestinian state is one of the fruits of the 7th of October, because there's a direct line we can trace between that horrific dark day when they and other Palestinian terrorists invaded Israel, killed people, raped people, kidnapped people, burnt people alive, and today, when Britain is apparently taking that position that Keir Starmer says we're going to recognise a Palestinian state in September at the UN, not because of anything he says they've done to deserve that statehood, but as some sort of punishment to Israel for having to engage in a war that it didn't want, a war that it didn't start in response to that horrific day, and as some sort of punishment to Israel for not surrendering. It's all upside down, and I think that Keir Starmer, after the release of those horrible hostage videos where we saw truly Holocaust-like imagery of truly starving people in the Gaza Strip, the Jewish hostages still being kept there, deliberately starved by Hamas and Palestinian Islamic Jihad, this should really give him pause for thought.
Well, let's play one of these videos, and this is particularly, I should warn people, it's particularly disturbing. It is a footage of a guy called Eviatar David digging his own grave in a Hamas tunnel. So there he is, I mean, looking incredibly emaciated, incredibly thin, and he was made to dig his own grave. Now, Hamas have put this out over the last couple of days. What's their motivation for doing that? Why would they do this? I mean, this will only make people feel worse about them, won't it?
Eviatar David there, shown in this horrific state, you know, his body really a bag of bones. It is quite horrific. And as you said in the part of the video that you haven't seen yet, they're forcing him to literally dig his own grave, to say, this is my grave, I believe I will die and be buried here. Hamas is doing this because they're ruthless, jihadist, extremist Islamists. That's why they're doing this. They've always been clear about their aims. Their charter is very clear that they want the death of all Jews. that there is no compromise to be made with the state of Israel, that there is no negotiated settlement, that there should be no two states, a Jewish state and a Palestinian state. They've always been clear about this since their foundation in 1987. Ever since they were clear about it on October the 7th, it only really seems to be people like Keir Starmer and David Lammy who have any doubts about what it is they're doing. And there you can see him having to literally dig his own grave underground in a tunnel where he's been deprived of light, of water, of food. None of this, by the way, is surprising. I think we all knew this is how the hostages were being treated. In fact, many of them are already dead. We know that, many of the hostages who still haven't been released. And yet Keir Starmer wants to reward these people with statehood.
It's extraordinary. And obviously this is a statement by Hamas that we ain't letting out the hostages anytime soon. Israel making it very clear, you let the hostages out and we'll talk about a ceasefire. The fact that Hamas won't do it is why the war continues. It's their fault. Make no mistake.
It's even worse, actually, Kevin. Sorry to interrupt you. It's even worse than that, because actually Israel has been going to extraordinary lengths over the last month or so with the US and Qatar and Egypt to negotiate some kind of agreement with Hamas to get the hostages out and to make concessions to Hamas. They were even willing to make territorial concessions they hadn't been willing to do previously. And Steve Witkoff and others were due to meet on the 23rd of July to finalise these arrangements. And on the 21st of July, it was actually David Lammy leading a group of other countries who made this statement that there should be an unconditional ceasefire straight away that emboldened Hamas to change their position. It stopped diplomacy from happening. And I think that in that respect, the UK and these other countries have a lot to answer for, because they have prolonged the torture, they've prolonged the war, and they are now going to be partially responsible, at least for what happens next. Tonight, the news out of Israel is that they are considering occupying the Gaza Strip. And anyone who says that this is because of Israel is a belligerent state that has this action out of revenge is wrong. It's taken 22 months before Israel has gone here. This is a last resort. It's certainly not a first resort. I really think that people are reacting directly opposite to how they need to, leaving Israel very little choice. If the choice is between what it's about to do and to surrender, it's not going to surrender.
No, exactly right. Let the hostages out and there will be movement. If you don't, there won't be. It's as simple as that. Can I just quickly get you, before you go, Jonathan, on something that kind of irritated me? It is the story that thousands of Palestine Action supporters are planning to demonstrate all over the country and overwhelm the police with their mass numbers, their mass demonstrations, flouting the new law that, of course, prescribes Palestine Action as an illegal terrorist organisation. Among the protesters, no doubt will be a woman, she's called Deborah Hinton. She's from Cornwall. She's 81 years old. I just thought this is a snapshot of the modern British establishment. She's 81 years old. She's a former magistrate, and she's also a former member of the National Parole Board, deciding on whether or not prisoners should be released. She was arrested last weekend outside Truro Cathedral, holding a placard which said, "I oppose genocide, I support Palestine Action." Not so long ago, this woman was deciding on whether or not people went to prison, whether or not they were guilty, deciding on whether or not people came out of prison as a member of the National Parole Board. I don't think she was worthy of that position with these kind of views. Do you?
Well, you know what's so sad about this is people like her, apparently fine, upstanding members of British society, probably think they're doing the right thing. They probably think they're virtuous. But honestly, if this had anything to do with Palestinian Arabs and their suffering, if this had anything to do with making peace, with trying to resolve the conflict that's been going on for decades, if it had anything to do with all that, they could choose to show their support in a constructive way. And instead, they're picking the one organisation that has been outlawed as terrorist that is expressing these views on the streets. They could just express it some other way. So I think what it shows you is a sort of knee-jerk, hard-left reaction to just try and do what you're not supposed to do. And the attempt to try and swamp the system with thousands of people doing this. I mean, by the way, their signs, I oppose genocide. Everyone opposes genocide, but there isn't a genocide taking place in Gaza.
I know, just like there isn't a famine there either. There's
Right,
not a
and the
famine
point-
there either.
Right, it's a war. It's horrible to watch. There may be hunger, there may be shortage. It's not, that doesn't make it a famine, that doesn't make it a genocide. These people are deliberately trying to disrupt our society in Britain when we have our police and our government and our courts have much bigger things to deal with than these luxury beliefs of these do-gooding idiots who just want to go out there and disrupt everything. And it doesn't matter how upstanding they've been during their life. If you choose to show your support openly and clearly in black and white for a group that has been defined by the law as a terrorist organisation, that is your fault and you do deserve to be locked up for it. But I think it speaks to a bigger truth, which is that these people are using the people of Gaza and they are using Israel and the Jews and all the anti-Semitism this causes. They're using it for their other aims, which is just a virtue signal that they think they're better
just
than everyone.
virtue signalling. Indeed, Jonathan, I've got to go, but thank you so much. Jonathan Sakadoty there. Kinsey Schofield next. Stay tuned.
We've just been talking in the office here about how many of us have been attacked at some point or other by some form of flying beast or any wildlife. I mean, so we'll take your stories this morning.
Hello, this story is concerning wildlife. It's concerning a rhino.
A rhino? Blimey.
Right? Yeah,
okay.
rhino. I used to live in Kenya when I was about 5 or 6 years old.
Okay.
And we were in this wildlife park in a grey Morris Minor. This rhino started chasing us. There's me and my sister in the back seat.
Right.
It was like something out of Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
We were turning around saying, "Believe it, Dad. Just put your foot down, Dad. We're in a field. Put your foot down." This rhino was chasing us.
One from Mark here in Derby. Went on holiday for our first romantic holiday to Tunisia years ago. Decided to take my girl into a petting zoo. I got a bag of food to feed the animals. A giant goat then went for me, putting its front legs over my shoulders and proceeding to headbutt me over a fence into one of the pens, covering me in the food and making my nose bleed. I got out of the pen, then the goat and all his mates attacked me again, sending me running and screaming like a girl out of the zoo, with my girlfriend rolling with laughter on the floor.
A tarantula climbed up the bottom of the bed on the sheet.
Yeah.
And it walked all the way up. It's eyeball to eyeball.
Wow.
And I thought to myself, what am I going to do when it climbs over my face? But then a miracle happened. It raised its two front legs and waved them around. And then it turned around and walked down the side of the sheet.
Boris Johnson been attacked by an ostrich. The former PM was enjoying a safari trip with his family when the bird leaned into his car and went oi oi and pecked his hand. In footage shared online, he quickly jerked from the ostrich. Don't dirty minds away from the ostrich, and shouted, "Oh, Christ, get hell," before driving off. And so I just set it out there. Have you been attacked by an animal? When I was about 7...
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. In about half an hour or so, I'll be taking your calls. I might take a couple of calls about James Whale. We've got quite a few who, of course, sadly left us today after 74 years. A remarkable man with a remarkable career. Unique. The nation's lost a great broadcaster. We at Talk have lost a great friend. Behind that tough exterior, he was a very nice chap. He really was. So we'll maybe have a bit of a chat about James. Also, I want to know what you think about what's been going on at these demonstrations. The fact that in Warwickshire, the police are admitting, keeping secret, if you like, the ethnicity of two men involved in the rape of a 12-year-old girl. Elsewhere in the country, a Sudanese man up near Manchester has been charged, arrested after trying to kidnap a 10-year-old girl who was with her dad in a children's playground up near Manchester. So what's going on here, folks, is all over the country. More and more asylum seekers, more and more migrants are either being accused of, charged with, or found guilty of sex crimes. And it seems as if the authorities, the police, are trying to keep this quiet. Warwickshire police say, oh, we didn't mention their ethnicity, where they're from. They're Afghani asylum seekers, as I just said, because that's national policy. National policy is that to keep the people in the dark? Because you're worried that we'll all get very angry about it? Well, here's the deal. We are very angry about it. Let me know what you think about that. Keeping it secret from you. The fact that asylum seekers and migrants are committing sex crimes. You like that? 03444 991 So let me know what you think. All that in just a little while. But before we get to any of that, before we get to you and your phone calls, it's time to go over to the host of Kinsey Schofield Unfiltered, Kinsey Schofield. Here she is. Hi, Kins.
Hi, Kev. So sorry that you lost your friend and my friend, James Whale. What a sweetheart he was. And one of my favorite moments was him defending the Princess of Wales on his show after that Big Brother contestant talked about how she was aging so poorly after her cancer recovery. And James Whale just railing into that woman saying, you know what? Come back and talk to me after you've dealt with cancer. He was such a fierce monarchist, even though he sometimes defended Meghan Markle too. I do think he loved the British royal family.
No, he loved to do that. He loved to defend Meghan Markle because he knew it annoyed people like me and you. That was James for you. Some of his opinions were held purely to irritate others, and I think his support of Meghan was one of those things. Which brings us to the topic of Meghan Markle. It's her 44th birthday. Happy birthday to you and all that. On Instagram, she's, well, there's not really anybody posting happy birthday to Meghan on Instagram, but luckily she's posted effusive birthday greetings to herself. Here is her post saying, let's have a look at it. Can't quite read it.
Celebrating the woman behind it all.
Yeah, so this is celebrating the woman behind it all. She pours her heart, vision, magic and touch into every detail. And today we raise a glass to her. Happy birthday to our founder, Meghan. That's her. That's as ever official. That's basically her congratulating herself. It's amazing, isn't it?
With the comments off, like if you're confident in this messaging, wouldn't you leave the comments on so that all of your fans that are rushing to buy your rosé and your loose fruit spread would be leaving comments underneath it, praising you for being so genius, including your magic and your mixed bag of pretzels and air on With Love, Meghan? I mean, I think it says a lot that she shuts the comments off. She knows that there are going to be people in the comment section that are like, what? Why are you wishing yourself a happy birthday? Get out of here. Also, isn't it unfortunate that she shares a birthday with the Queen Mother, Queen Elizabeth's mother?
True.
I'd much rather be talking about her. She was fun. She liked to have she knew how to drink. She could drink Meghan's rosé under the table. But unfortunately, here we are talking about Meghan Markle wishing herself a happy birthday on Instagram.
Yeah, let's sing that song for Meghan. Happy birthday to me. Happy birthday to me. Happy birthday, dear Meghan me. It's just unbelievable, isn't it? No one else doing it.
Exactly. And so today, my interview with Valentine Lowe that I did while I was there blew up, and Meghan has been busy reacting to it. And let me tell you what she said. Here, my point being. Well,
hang on. What Valentine Lowe, of course, the esteemed royal correspondent of the Times newspaper. What your interview with him? What emerged from that has so annoyed Her Majesty?
Just about how revenge-fueled she was and how frightened people that worked for her at the palace were to come out and speak to him about the explosive allegations that inevitably led to the palace bully report. And he said that she was just so full of revenge that people were frightened of her, that they couldn't go to sleep at night. They were waking up at all hours to her emails. And so Meghan says that we are harmful gossips trying to resuscitate relevance. But my point is that...
That's you and Valentine Lowe. So they're harmful gossips trying to resuscitate... Go on.
Of telling you this is if she was combing through thousands of birthday cards today and birthday wishes and birthday baskets full of fruits and jams and all the goodies, she wouldn't have time to be talking about my Valentine Lowe interview from 2 weeks ago, okay?
Okay, so what did she call you again? Say that, I like that.
Yes, I'm going to get it tattooed on my body.
You go.
Harmful gossips trying to resuscitate relevance. That's what she told Page Six.
You should definitely have that. Just it should be your tag on your X file or something. You know, Kinsey Schofield, harmful gossip trying to resuscitate. What was it again?
Resuscitate relevance.
Resuscitate relevance. Well, you obviously hit home. You know why you hit home? Because you're telling the truth. The one thing she can't stand is the truth. You know, like all those former employees saying that she was a terrible bully. You know, you can't keep denying it, Meghan. In the end, it's going to hit home, and it has hit home. Let's talk about the other story that very much concerns her this week, and it is this incredible book by Andrew Lowney.
Another example of them being so busy that they have time to send their lawyers after the Daily Mail.
But you know what's amazing about this book? Andrew Lowney is a good guy. He's been on my show several times over the past few years. And his book is called Entitled, The Rise and Fall of the House of York. So it involves Fergie as well as Prince Andrew. But anyway, basically this book, it's been all serialised in the Daily Mail here. All over the front page, it's called His Royal Oafishness. And Andrew is dismissed as a sort of thug who didn't know how to behave around women, was totally inappropriate, making juvenile sex and toilet jokes all the time at the dinner. It could not be more disparaging of Prince Andrew. I mean, it is. I think the Mail is styling it, is posting it as the most devastating royal biography ever, and it really does not pull its punches. It absolutely destroys Prince Andrew for the juvenile oaf that he clearly is, a poncy, posh juvenile oaf who, if people failed to call him sir or got his title wrong, was down on them like a ton of bricks, or his royal status.
I hired someone over a mole on their face.
Yeah, he got rid of somebody because he didn't like the mole on their face. So you know, this was so disparaging of Prince Andrew, you can't believe it. No lawsuit from Prince Andrew, no legal letters, nothing. Guess who has fired off a legal letter? It is old legal letter confetti boy, Ginger Nuts. Prince Harry has sent them a legal letter, and it is about the incredible story that during a family gathering, a royal family gathering, while Meghan was still in the fold, but before she'd married Harry.
No, this is in 2013.
2013. Well, so Andrew apparently said something which Harry thought was behind his back, along the lines of that Harry would be bonkers if he married.
No, that's a totally separate deal. These are two separate allegations that Harry and Meghan are dismissing. The incident where Harry gives Prince Andrew a bloody nose happens at a family gathering in 2013, and then they go to closer to Harry and Meghan stepping back as working members of the British royal family, where they talk about Harry butting heads with Prince Andrew over some things Prince Andrew said specifically about Meghan.
Well, I'm glad you cleared that up, because I was a bit confused. I was thinking, this alleged fight between Prince Andrew and Prince Harry happened in 2013 at a royal family gathering, allegedly. That was before Meghan was on the scene, but Harry heard that Andy had said something nasty behind his back, and according to Andrew Lowney, whose research is extensive, I'll say that, there was a punch-up. Harry got the better of Andrew, according to this story, and left Andy with a bloodied nose. Now, Andrew hasn't said anything about this story, but Harry has issued a statement saying, "We can confirm it did not happen, it's not true, and Andrew never said anything bad about me behind my back," kind of thing. So you can believe that if you want. Andrew Lowney has has basically tweeted, "Bring it on. I look forward to what this lawsuit or what this legal action may bring out." In other words, you want to go to court? You want to go to court? I've got more. I've got more. So extraordinary that everything this book said about Andrew, not a peep. One mention of Harry. There was a punch-up in 2013, and he's got the lawyers in again.
Well, I have a different theory. I think that the lawyers are being sent after the Daily Mail and Andrew Lowney because of what's been said about Meghan Markle in the book. Andrew told Prince Harry his marriage to Meghan would not last more than a month and accused Harry of going bonkers and not doing his due diligence into looking into her past. He openly accused Meghan of being an opportunist and thought she was too old for Harry, adding that his nephew was making the biggest mistake ever. The source said that Harry later told Prince William he hated Andrew, and I think that the reason Prince Harry is going after the Daily Mail and Andrew Lowney legally is over what's included about Meghan Markle. Harry has a reputation for, you know, the scuffles, whether it's in 2007 when he falls over in an attempt to punch a paparazzi. King Charles later came out, you know, within hours and said, "Oh, Harry didn't fall while trying to attack a paparazzi in 2007. Harry claimed he was hit in 2004 when coming out of a nightclub and getting into it with paparazzi. Harry specifically talks about a physical fight with his brother in Spare. Tom Bauer talks about Harry being like incandescent with rage at a 2017 wedding with Meghan Markle in Jamaica when he spots a photographer in the distance. There are numerous, Harry says, "I killed 25 Taliban. I didn't think of them as human beings. I thought I was just clearing chess pieces off the table." There are numerous headlines involving Harry and some sort of fight, scuffle, whatever you want to call it. I think the reason that there is such malice here and such bitter resentment is the idea that Prince Andrew might have said a couple of things about Meghan Markle that we all agree with.
Yeah, and you're right. I'm sure it does. The reason Harry's brought in the lawyers is to do with Meghan as well, because she doesn't emerge from this book with flying colours. This is the statement that came from Prince Harry's spokesperson. "I can confirm Prince Harry and Prince Andrew have never had a physical fight, nor did Prince Andrew ever make the comments he is alleged to have made about the Duchess of Sussex to Prince Harry." That was, as you say, a later date when Harry or Andy is alleged to have said to Harry, "You must be, if you're going to marry Meghan Markle, you must be bonkers." So they're denying that ever happened. Well, here's what's interesting, though, is that in response to this, Andrew Lowney has tweeted this. Prince Harry calls in lawyers over Prince Andrew and Meghan's story, and then he puts in the link to the Newsweek story that quotes Harry's spokesman. Andrew Lowney goes on to say, "I look forward to doing battle and the disclosures which will emerge." So, in other words, what Andrew Lowney is saying, "All right, Harry, you're going to sue me. Let's go to court. I've got a lot more stuff. You want that to come out? Shall we do it?" I mean, you know, we have to take a careful line here. You know, we can't say what's true and what's not. These are Andrew Lowney's allegations in his book. But what I will say about Andrew Lowney, he is a renowned, respected, thorough researcher of an author, and he did a lot of work on this book. That book would not be published and certainly would not be serialised in the Daily Mail unless lawyers have gone through it with a fine-tooth comb. I'm not making any statement about who's telling the truth here, but I would suggest that neither the Mail nor Andrew Lowney's book publishers would have let this go into print unless they were convinced it was utterly true.
Well, we had this same conversation around the Vanity Fair piece. There are, to avoid lawsuits, these companies, these publishing companies, have lawyers that sit in their offices and work around the clock for them to avoid any sort of litigation. So yes, not only would the publisher of this book have gone over this with a fine-tooth comb, reached out to Andrew Loney and said, hey, can I know who your sources are? I need to be more confident in this if we're going to publish it. But the Daily Mail would have done something very similar. They wouldn't have posted. Harry and Meghan have gone after the Daily Mail and won. Of course, the Daily Mail is going to tiptoe around some of these heavier accusations. So I do think that it's fair to say that they likely did their due diligence before publishing this. But I think it's really interesting because if you read Andrew's piece in the Daily Mail, Andrew Lowney doesn't say that Prince Andrew necessarily said these things directly to Prince Harry. It just says that these were his thoughts. This is the way he felt about Meghan Markle. And if they did get in a physical fight in 2013 over something that Prince Andrew was saying behind Prince Harry's back, who's to say he didn't say these things about Meghan Markle behind Prince Harry's back? Yeah. I think that that's the likely scenario. And perhaps Harry and Meghan aren't lying when they say that he never said this specifically to him. But
they're not saying that. They're saying he said something behind his back. I mean, just if I quickly quote the member of Harry and Meghan's team, as I say, this story about them sending a legal letter, or Harry sending a legal letter to the Daily Mail, was written up in Newsweek, the American publication. And the quote from the team member, for Harry and Meghan's team member, was, "Such are the gross inaccuracies, damaging and defamatory remarks made in the Daily Mail story. I can confirm a legal letter from Prince Harry's counsel has been sent to the Mail." Andrew Lowney saying, well, bring it on, bring it on. And if you pursue this case, I have a lot more disclosures I can make. I wonder what will happen to this legal action.
It's going to disappear. It's going to fall. I mean, first of all, there's no technical legal action. They're threatening, which is classic Harry and Meghan. And that's one of the things that Valentine Lowe said in our interview. He said, yes, I got a very long legal letter from Harry and Meghan when they found out, and when I asked for their reaction to this bullying allegation piece I was doing. When I sat down to write courtiers, they threatened me. They, were trying to intimidate me, and they were trying to discredit me before I could release these very important, historically, pieces of information. And he said, and you know what I think is amazing? They didn't sue me. He said they didn't sue me. Tom Bauer said the same thing. They threatened to sue me. They never sued me. And so that, I think it's a form of intimidation for Harry and Meghan. Yes, we know they're incredibly litigious, but I do think that, similar to Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds, that they use it as a form of intimidation. They're hoping to scare you off. But I also think that they don't want to invite what will come, because, like you said, Andrew Lowney has completely, and I'm not saying this in a disparaging way, but he's completely alienated himself from the British royal family with some of his investigations. He has been fiercely investigating some of the sexual assault allegations against Mountbatten, who King Charles absolutely loves. And so Andrew Lowney goes places that you don't go if you want to stay in the fold when it comes to the British royal family. He is fearless, and there are things that I doubt. I'm sure that there are things that he was not capable of putting in this book that he would have loved to have put in this book, because there were issues there. So I'm sure if I'm Harry and Meghan, I'm imagining to myself, I don't want to be the next target of a book. I don't want to be the next target of a serious investigation, because, like you said originally, it's not Prince Andrew suing this guy. It's Harry and Meghan. They are, they're the sideline here. They're the sideline. But imagine if Andrew Lowney goes after you next, and imagine what he could find on you. I imagine that he would be able to find people that are willing to go on the record with their bully reports against you, because he is so fearless.
I mean, Andrew Lowney is a renowned journalist and author whose research is extensive. I mean, he researches, as you say. He's been locked in a long legal battle with the royal family and the government about releasing the secret documents surrounding Lord Mountbatten, King Charles's uncle, who of course was murdered by the IRA in a bomb.
And mentor. It's one of the reasons why he did not pursue Queen Camilla at the time, because Lord Mountbatten stepped in and said she's not right, and he ends up marrying Princess Diana. Lord Mountbatten had such an influence on King Charles.
Yeah, and you know, Lord Mountbatten, Andrew Lowney, like so many of us in this country, we don't give a damn whether or not we're on the right side of the royal family. Andrew Lowney doesn't care.
I do.
That you do. I couldn't give a damn. I really couldn't. You know, they happen to be a family that is the royal family. They don't rule me. They don't rule anyone. But Andrew Lowney, you know, he's not daunted by this. But you're right about Prince Harry. This denial. Or this, oh, you know, we've launched this, we've sent a legal letter to the Daily Mail. It's an elaborate way of trying to give the image, to paint the portrait that this story about him and Prince Andrew having a punch-up, and the not very nice stories about Meghan being a bit of a bully as well, it's trying to paint the picture that these stories are not true. These stories are outrageously not true, and we've sent the Daily Mail a legal letter. The thing to do, folks, all of you outside of the media, you check how this letter goes. You see what happens next. If they carry on, fine, maybe they've got a case. My bet is that this might just disappear. What Harry's trying to do here is give the impression that Andrew Lowney's stories about him and Meghan are not true. But there is no real denial there. I mean, there's a denial from their people, but that doesn't prove it's not that...
There also is it's worded so carefully to say that Prince Andrew never had that conversation with Prince Harry. Lowney's not saying that. Lowney's just saying this is the way Prince Harry felt. And I believe that Prince Andrew felt. And I believe that he felt that way because of all of the conversations we're now hearing come out from Lady Elizabeth Anson. I talked to Sally Bedell-Smith last week, who told me that Harry and Meghan had purposely, had not written this in her Substack, excluded members of the royal family, royal cousins, so that they could invite people that they'd never met, strangers, celebrities like George and Amal Clooney and Reese Witherspoon, who said, "No, I'm not coming to your wedding. I've never met you." And the Queen was so distraught that these important family members were being excluded so Meghan could have these random celebrities there. And Lady Elizabeth Anson said, you know what, we're going to focus on the family wedding. Let's focus on Princess Eugenie's wedding. And I said to Sally Bedell-Smith, and then Meghan rolls in and announces she's pregnant with Archie at Princess Eugenie's wedding when it's supposed to be Eugenie's day. And so, I mean, like, I think that knowing what we know now about how defeated and distraught the Queen was about Harry and Meghan from the get-go, yeah, these are the kinds of conversations Prince Andrew is going to be having pretty openly with people, because he was always going to support the Queen. And I imagine that they were probably, I imagine they thought similar things about Meghan Markle.
If it's true, Kinsey, that Harry and Andy did have a punch-up, leaving Andy with a bloody nose, as we must stress that Harry denies this, but if that's true, and then he's already told the story about him and William having a punch-up, it's like, what is it with these people, you know, these royals? They just spend all their time fighting each other. It's a bit odd, isn't it?
Well, I mean, I texted somebody and I was like, honestly, that's the only thing that Harry's done in the last few years that makes him sound cool. Why would he threaten to sue somebody over it? We all want to punch Prince Andrew in the face, allegedly. You know what I mean?
I was thinking that. Yeah, don't deny this, Harry. Everybody will like you for it.
Exactly. Like, that's what didn't make sense to me at all. I was like, why would you deny this of all the things? And that's why I'm pretty confident that what really upset them was the Meghan Markle chat, the Meghan Markle talk. And you know what? Doesn't it surprise you that Harry and Meghan haven't threatened to sue Sally Bedell Smith? And I think that those accusations have been the most harming when Harry and Meghan still do their media tours and talk about how close they were to Queen Elizabeth, hijacking her nickname for their child that didn't get to know her. And you realize, no, you weren't. Absolutely no, you weren't. She felt totally isolated during your wedding. She felt pushed out, excluded, and she was heartbroken at the way you blindsided her when you left the royal family. You were sneaky. You were plotting behind her back. Meanwhile, Prince Philip is dying. COVID's happening and the world is shutting down around her and she doesn't know what to do. Things were changing. Things were shifting. She was frightened. And there are Harry and Meghan piling on.
Yeah, a story is emerging about Meghan, and Meghan doesn't like the story that is emerging. A lot of people might say that the story that's emerging is the truth about Meghan. Just before you go, still with Meghan Kinsey, there's a new version of Chateau Meg coming out. Do we know when this latest hooch will be available not to buy?
The new hooch is available tomorrow. The description, I received the newsletter today.
Yeah.
It says they're thrilled to share that it will be available at 12 p.m. my time tomorrow. Harvested under the California sun, this dazzling vintage embodies everything we love. It's where timeless elegance meets the spirit of summer.
Oh, God almighty.
I hope it comes with a barf bag.
Well, you know what will happen, Kinsey. It'll go on sale at midday and by about 10 past. It's so popular, it's sold out, and it'll become the latest product that you can't buy on as ever. Right?
I tell you that this, I believe, is her strategy because she gets no positive press otherwise. This is a PR strategy that they've set around a table, and somebody said that's a great idea, to where they're going to limit inventory so that every news story that they push is that everybody's buying her stuff, everything is selling out, because otherwise the news stories about her are horrible. Meghan, go donate to an orphanage. Yeah. Go spend some time at the Boys and Girls Club. Do something nice for somebody else, and you might attract some positive press. But you are so selfish, and you were so manipulative, allegedly, in my opinion, and horrible in your very brief time as a member of the British royal family. You've not been a member longer than you were, that I think that people are having a hard time moving on. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, well, she's trying to base a brand around her alleged popularity. She doesn't have any popularity, so good luck with that. Listen, Kinsey, I believe we're doing Recollections May Vary tomorrow, your excellent podcast, so I will see you then. In the meantime, thank you so much for another stunning appearance on my show. That was, of course, the great Kinsey Schofield, host of Kinsey Schofield Unfiltered. We better go straight to break, because as always, I've spent too much time with Kinsey, always do. When we come back, we'll take your calls, we'll listen to some WhatsApp voice notes, and I'll read some of your messages. We've still got half an hour to go. Lots of time, folks. Get on the blower. Let's talk. It's good to talk on Talk. Stay tuned.
fascinating. I mean, he had a really wide circle of friends as well, you know, from the shows that he did on TV, where there was quite a lot of, you know, very well-known people. And you heard Ash saying he interviewed Spike Milligan. You know, he had an incredible way about him. I remember when we did a tribute to him, you know, a lifetime of nighttime.
I remember that, yeah.
Which
I remember watching it.
Assuming we'll be showing again. We recorded it a couple of years ago, and some of the things that I hadn't seen until we did that show, you know, like the incredible scenes of him. He had some woman on.
He was the nicest guy around. He never stopped to spare anybody time. Newcomers like yourself, he was always there to help. Me and him, we used to have a few rows on air sometimes. So he was a great friend. He was a good guy to young people in the industry, because I think he loved the industry as well. So you know, we have lost a legend.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. Quick WhatsApp voice note from Rob about James Whale.
Hi, Kev. Yeah, very sad day in this household and the passing of James. It was like losing a big brother, because I watched him right through from the 80s right up until his last few shows with Ash, you know, and it's terrible. But there's one thing, like, walking right up to the end. I mean, he's the only one I know that cancer had to come to terms with him, not the other way around.
That's a good way of putting it. And one thing about James is he wouldn't like us to be mawkish and all miserable. And I think what we're trying to do here, and I think we're doing it well, is to celebrate his life, you know, rather than to disappear into a sort of vat of grief. He wouldn't like that. So thank you for that, Rob. Let's go to the phones. Let's talk to William in Glasgow. Hello, William.
Hello, Kevin. Pleased to meet you. So, I'm very saddened to hear about the passing of James Whale as well, a giant in the broadcast industry.
Thank you for that. Thank you.
What I'd like to know, Kevin, you're probably a smarter guy than me, a journalist.
I doubt that, William. I doubt that very much indeed, but go on.
OK. Now, with these illegal migrants, they're putting them in five-star hotels, not just accommodation. They're giving the migrants, you know, 1 million places in the NHS. They're throwing 2 veterans out of their accommodation, yet they can get 25,000 to 35,000 Afghans that fought with the British Army. But you have one guy there that done 2 tours of Afghanistan, and they're trying to make him homeless. And also the two people allegedly, the 12-year-old, they're trying to keep it a secret.
Yeah.
But I think in trying to keep it a secret, they know we're going to find out about this, so it just makes the situation even worse.
It does.
So what I'd ask you, Kevin, is there an agenda from this government? Are they trying to riot? What are they trying to do?
Well, it's a really good question, and lest we forget, those 2 men allegedly involved in this terrible rape of a 12-year-old in Nuneaton, Afghani asylum seekers. That element, their ethnicity was kept a secret, and the fact they were asylum seekers was kept a secret. You ask what's going on. Well, it looks to us, it looks to seasoned observers, William, as if there is a national campaign orchestrated, I think, without a shadow of a doubt, by the government, being adopted by police chiefs everywhere, to keep the British people, British citizens, in the dark about what could be construed as the results of 15, 16 years of terrible migrant policies, letting thousands and thousands and thousands of young men of sexually active age into the country about whom we know nothing. The results of this are beginning to come through. More and more sex crimes, allegations of sex crimes, sometimes convictions, proof of sex crimes. More and more sex crimes either allegedly committed by or definitely committed by asylum seekers, people we let into the country even though they broke in illegally. So I think the authorities, I think the government, I think the police all fear that if we found out the truth, William, there would be hell to play. We'd have massive riots like last summer. So they're trying to keep us in the dark, and it won't work. As you said at the beginning of this conversation, the public have a knack of finding these things out. And the more we find out they're trying to keep these secrets from us, the more there will be trouble.
I noticed in the Mail today they were talking again about the electronic ID stuff, and this is to trace illegal migrants. Do you think this is a ploy to get this in?
I do. On the part of the Labour government, yes. Labour have long wanted us all to have ID cards. They're now trying to sort of dress it up by presenting to us the idea that if we all had ID cards, that would solve the migrant crisis. We get a grip on where they all are, where the asylum seekers are. We'd know exactly where they were. Well, that's just rubbish. It's absolute rubbish. I mean, these are people who often travel on forged documents. What documents they have, they throw into the English Channel on their way over. And ID cards are very, very easily forged. So it's nonsense. This is just the Labour Party, the Labour government. Tony Blair's obsessed with this, wanting to get tabs on us. Information is power. They want to control us by knowing information about us. In other words, giving us ID cards. I'm against the idea because I think it's not British. We don't want to be a society where the cops or the authorities are going to pull you up in the street and go, your papers please, a papers please decide. We don't want that, and I don't buy into the fact it would do any good with the migrant crisis at all. So yeah, I think we're being conned by the government on all fronts, William. William, really good call. Thank you for ringing, and please call me again. William in Glasgow there. Let's go to break now, and when we come back, more of your calls, more of your WhatsApp voice notes. Stick around.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. Loads and loads of texts and messages from you about poor old James Whale, who has left us today. Here's one. This is Dean Warrington. Sad news about the legend that was James Whale. Enjoyed his Saturday night shows on Talk with my large glass of wine. That was the best way to listen to James, with a large glass of wine. Raising a glass to you, James, and love to the family and friends. Lots and lots of messages like that. And, you know, Paul here in Scarborough, very sorry to hear about James Whale. So thank you very much for all of you who've sent those messages. In the meantime, shall we play another WhatsApp voice note? This is Debbie. By the way, before we play this cover-up that we think has gone on in Warwickshire, keeping the secret the fact that the men involved in this alleged rape of a 12-year-old girl, they've both been charged, were or are Afghanistan asylum seekers living in a house of multiple occupation locally near Nuneaton. They kept that secret. Well, Nigel Farage has said, well, this is going on all over the country. This is a cover-up. This is an organised cover-up of this sort of information. A lot of evidence to support that. But here's Debbie on that cover-up.
It's just incredibly insulting to the British people. They insult our level of intelligence. We are passionate people. We're passionate about our culture and our country and the way that we embrace all of our amazing values. And this is not going to end well. I am so angry with this government, the previous government, and this is going to cause civil unrest without a shadow of doubt.
Well, I think you're right. I mean, the way not to deal with any situation, if you're the government, if you're the police, if you're the authorities, is to keep it secret. People of Britain don't like having secrets kept from them. Important information, you know, about the ethnicity of people committing sex crimes. You better tell us this stuff. And if you don't, as Debbie suggests, there'll be hell to pay. We don't want there to be widespread disturbances, riots like last year, but the way they're behaving, keeping secrets from us, just like they did last summer, you know, not telling us about Axel Rudagabana, saying he's just a lad from Cardiff who moved north. The way they kept secrets from us then, that caused the trouble last year, and it looks like they're doing it again. They do not learn. They have not learned their lessons. Let's talk to Heather in Dorset, who wants to talk about James Whale. Hi, Heather.
Hi, Kevin. I'd like to send my condolences first to you and all your colleagues and James's friends and family, Nadine.
Yeah.
I can't imagine how hard it is for you, the presenters today, and yourself, who've been having to go live with this. I hope it's cathartic for you.
Well, I mean, the thing is, in a way, James would have loved today, everybody talking about him all day.
Oh, yeah.
And he would have liked us to have done it in a celebratory way. I hope we have. He would not want us all to be, you know, disappearing into a vat of tears, lost in grief, even though we are, of course, very sad. But he is not a guy... I mean, he'd love all the attention, but he wouldn't want us all to be miserable about his passing. He would want us to celebrate his extraordinary life, which I think we are. I mean, his life was remarkable. I mean, this is a guy, he left school when he was about 15. He's never passed an exam in his life, you know, went on to become a broadcasting legend. He wasn't a writer, but he was a hell of a talker, I'll tell you that.
Oh, gosh, yeah, and I haven't watched the interview with him and Ash yet. I just want to wait until the end of the day and it's quiet and I can just listen to that. But I did listen to and watch on YouTube your one with James and Nigel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you saw that.
I thought it was just amazing. You know, like he used to joke about it and say, "I want to die on air." Do you remember?
He pretty much almost did, Heather. I mean, I keep telling the story. It was only, I can't remember, 3-4 weeks back, something like that. This guy carried on coming to the studio as long as he could. And it was like a Friday night, and I'd finished my show, and I could see him being sort of wheeling up the office. He had a sort of electric type of wheelchair thing. And I said to him, Christ, James, you know, why don't you take some time off And he said, "This is what I live for." And he did. He lived for his job. His job. It wasn't a job to him. It's just being in the studio, talking to the public. That's what he did. That's how he lived his life. So he was the consummate broadcaster. You know, we're all feeling obviously sad today. But I don't know. There's something about people like James Whale, extraordinary people like that, that even though it's tragic and sad that he's gone, it's a day to sort of celebrate his amazing life. So here's to you, James.
And you know, he said so many times, I don't want people crying and moaning.
Exactly. He would hate that.
And it kind of, you know, it removes some of that guilt, because, like, I lost my mum 5 years ago, and I remember calling and speaking to him. I think I spoke to you about it as well. And he was just what I needed. It was like, it's awful. You're going to hurt. It's going to be horrible for a while, but you will get to a point where you can live with it. But you must try to laugh and remember the good times that you had.
Exactly right, Heather. Exactly right. And that's what we're trying to do today, paying tribute to a remarkable man with a smile on our faces. That's what we're trying to do our best to do. I hope we're succeeding. Heather, I've got to move on, but thank you. That was a great call. Thank you very much. And please call me again. That's Heather in Dorset. Let's go back to the commercials. And when I come back, we will take more of your calls and more of your WhatsApp voice notes and all that. So stay tuned.
Well, it was one thing, I think, for Keir Starmer to be a disaster domestically. That much was almost to be expected. This is a man who, before coming into number 10, said that he preferred Davos to Parliament. But he's failing by his own standards, because he seems to consider himself this great international statesman. And yet you had that embarrassing press conference with Donald Trump last week. You then had all the equivocating over Palestinian statehood, only for him to then capitulate to his restless backbenchers. And now we just look so staggeringly naive, Mark.
Fascinating. I mean, he had a really wide circle of friends as well, you know, from the shows that he did on TV, where there was quite a lot of, you know, very well-known people. And you heard Ash saying he interviewed Spike Milligan. You know, he had an incredible way about him. I remember when we did a tribute to him, you know, a lifetime of nighttime.
I remember that, yeah.
Which
I remember watching it.
Assuming we'll be showing again. We recorded it a couple of years ago, and some of the things that I hadn't seen until we did that show, you know, like the incredible scenes of him
across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. Petri Huskin will be in a little while to tell you what she's got lined up for your entertainment from 10 p.m. until 1 a.m. Couple of messages that I think are worth reading. This is a really nice one from Yvonne in Wakefield, and well, I'll read it out to you. I'm so sad to hear the news about James Whale, the legend. Myself, this is Yvonne, and my friend Suzanne used to do the phones for James when he was at Radio Air in Leeds on a Friday, maybe 35 years ago. And it was fantastic. He was so wild on the calls, but so nice off air. Exactly. I'm so pleased he got his MBE for his services to radio, as he deserved it. We loved him. That's Yvonne and Gary Mackinson. Thank you, Yvonne. That's a really nice little note from somebody who worked with James. It's just a story I'm telling you. You know, the sort of aggressive, abrasive kind of guy that you often heard talking, you know, shouting at viewers and listeners. That wasn't what he was like. I wouldn't say it was an act, but off air he was the nicest guy. Here's one from Rob in Dublin. Matt Goss, he says, Kevin, this section is one of the best I've seen on the show. A fitting tribute and kudos to Matt to come in to the studio instead of a live feed to express his genuine love for James. Matt is such a classy bloke, so humble, and is clearly a loving soul. I'm so glad they were able to have that time together recently. That's from Rob in Dublin. I couldn't agree more. I thought it was really classy of Matt to come in. A genuine friend, and just a couple of weeks ago he told you the story. He persuaded James to go to the pub, and they had a Sunday lunch and lots of drinks and lots of reminiscing. So good that Matt and his lady and James could share a last drink together. Let's go back to the phones. Let's talk about Bonnie Blue. This is Julie in Manchester. Hello, Julie. I have a note here that you're a bit upset about this programme because you were a victim of sexual abuse. Is that right?
Yeah, child sexual abuse, yeah. I couldn't watch the programme. I wouldn't watch anything like that. But, you know, they say there is a link between child sexual abuse and pornography, you know, and I really think that's true. And I don't like it when people say child pornography. It's not child pornography. It's child sexual abuse.
Yes, it is.
You know.
The thing about Bonnie Blue, Julie, and this programme, look, I couldn't care less what she does in her life. If she wants to go around bonking 1,000 men in a night or whatever the hell it is she does, I suppose that's her right in a free society if she can find 1,000 guys to do this. The problem with Bonnie Blue is this programme, 1,000 Men and Me, the Bonnie Blue story, kind of glamorised her lifestyle, her lifestyle choice. It was totally uncritical and very upsetting for people like yourself. Just very upsetting, I think, for anybody who takes the act of love between two a man and a woman, or between two partners, seriously. This woman just completely undermines it. As I say, she's free to do what she likes, but Channel 4 should not be glamorising her lifestyle.
No. I mean, I'd have pornography banned outright on, you know, just...
Well, I mean, I know where you're coming from, particularly someone like yourself, but I suppose it's got to be allowed in a free society, but it shouldn't be on terrestrial television being glamorised. This programme was utterly uncritical. It was, this interesting young woman who used to do a boring job at the NHS, but she's just found a way to make lots of money and live a really interesting lifestyle. It's rubbish. It's absolute rubbish. They shouldn't have done that. They really shouldn't have.
No. Well, I worked in an old folks' home for 15 years, and I tell you, I'd sooner clean toilets and you know, I didn't only do that.
The dignity of work, and she does not enjoy that, I'll tell you that. Julie, I've got to go because the show's nearly over, but keep in touch. Excellent call. Thank you for ringing. Petri Hoskin is in the studio. Sad day, Petri?
It is. I mean, James, I just thought he was going to live forever, to be honest with you.
We all did.
Because he did, didn't he? After diagnosis and bad luck and then good luck. I didn't see this coming, to be honest with you. I thought he would, because he's so stubborn as well.
Yeah. Well, I think that's why he stuck around for so long.
Yeah.
I mean, he was still. I mean, I was telling a story earlier, I think to Matt Goss, who came in very nicely to pay tribute, but. So he did this final interview with Nigel Farage, which of course a lot of people watched. This was about like 3 weeks ago at his home in Kent, and Farage very nicely went there, did the interview, and this final, the last thing. Whale turned to Chuck Thomas, his producer, and I